team on the other side, hey, they've got to win out pretty much, Dave, and they've got a tough one next week, though, against a good Northwestern team. They need to take care of business here first.
All right, time for my favorite segment, Hardware Software. We'll start with hardware and Michigan State's outstanding running back tandem.
Yeah, maybe the best duo in the entire country when you talk about Jevon Ringer and J.U. Colcrick. Fantastic. They will just pound away this afternoon again. Way to slow down defensive end Janal St. Deek, who has just been everywhere. They nickname him the sack master because he knows how to get to the quarterback. 9 sacks on the season. That ranks him 5th in the country, and 8 forced fumbles to go along with it. He is a force on the defense. He will show up on your screen all afternoon.
And you mentioned Mark D'Antonio. He's in his first year at the helm of Michigan State, and Kirk Ferentz in his 9th season at Iowa, trying to avoid back-to-back losing seasons in the Big Ten for the first time since he took over as head coach for Hayden Fry. Typical late October day here in Iowa City. 52 degrees and windy as Iowa and Michigan State get set to do battle. Iowa will kick off. Austin Signor to boot it away to Devin Thomas and A.J. Jimerson, and it'll be Thomas taking it out for the Spartans. And Thomas drilled at the 21-yard line. That's where Michigan State will start. Time now to check in with the third member of our crew down on the field, Rob Simmelcare.
All right, Dave, thank you. Well, you spoke about that Michigan State running game. Iowa's leading running back, Albert Young, has been playing with his sore knee. He dinged that knee last week in the loss at Purdue, but I spoke to running backs coach Carl Jackson, who said he had a very good week of practice, and he'll be in the regular rotation once Iowa gets the ball. Dave?
And, Rob, it's been a struggle for Iowa to run the football, dead last in the conference in rushing in 2007. Hawkeyes will start on defense. Brian Hoyer, the Spartan quarterback, only 4 interceptions in his first year as full-time starter, replacing Drew Stanton, who's now with the Detroit Lions. It'll be Jevon Ringer on first down, and good running room across the 27 for about 7 yards. Now for Michigan State's offensive starters, here's the aforementioned Brian Hoyer.
Starting off in the backfield, we got Thunder and Lightning, J.U. Colcrick and Jevon Ringer. Out at wideout, one of the biggest playmakers in the country, Showtime, Devin Thomas. At tight end, we got Xerxes from the movie 300, Kellen Freeman Davis. And the O-line is anchored by 3 seniors, John Masters, Kenny Shane, and Pete Clifford.
And Clifford was not offered a scholarship in high school, but has turned into a solid left tackle for the #2 rushing team in the Big Ten. Ringer out of the backfield has the first down. Out to the 37, tackled by Adam Shada.
Ringer is just a playmaker, 4.3 speed. He came off some injuries a couple of seasons ago, and he shows you right away how much they rely on him in the running game, as well as getting him the football out in space in the passing game as well, Dave.
And Ringer 3rd in the Big Ten in rushing. Guy that has played through some pain, had a torn knee ligament last year that he suffered against Illinois, but he managed to play through it the final 3 games of the year. Colcrick is in now at running back as Hoyer finds Devin Thomas one-on-one on the outside, and into Iowa territory for a 14-yard gain. Charles Godfrey made the stop.
Well, Devin Thomas will just flat out scare you. He ranks 5th in the entire country in all-purpose yardage with just over 200 yards a game. He's a big play receiver. They will use him on reverses. He'll return kicks. You see him there. It's Charles Woodson, his favorite NFL player. And why does he wear number 5? Kind of a throwback deal with the Fab Five. He was a big Michigan fan while he was growing up.
Yeah, grew up in Ann Arbor, although technically, officially, the Fab Five never existed. As Colcrick gets to the 45, that's because their championships vacated because of NCAA violations.
Some of us still remember the Fab Five.
And more people talking about the Thad Five that Ohio State has to replace, and the top 25 for college basketball just released in Michigan State, considered by many to be a favorite to win the Big Ten men's basketball crown this year. Ringer back in, Colcrick to the bench on 2nd and 6. Ringer trying to pick a hole and spun down at the 43-yard line by Mike Clinkenborg. What a great name for a linebacker.
Love it. That's one of my favorite names in all of college football. Mike Clinkenborg. It just kind of goes with playing middle linebacker. A nasty player who will stick his head in there and just hit you. And you know what? He plays up to the name. He will sit in the middle of that defense. He makes all the calls, but he is one heck of a football player.
Great student as well. Was just named a National Football Foundation Scholar Athlete, and he's up for the Dratty Award, which is the academic Heisman.
Yeah, 3.5 grade point average in elementary education.
Hoyer on third down, and what a catch by Devin Thomas as the pass was thrown behind him. And Thomas gets 13 yards down to the 30.
Well, a nice job of sorting through things, and he finds Devin Thomas crossing in the middle of the formation, and nice deep zone drops. Just kind of going to slow down right here. You'll see Clinkenborg trying to rush, but nice voided area and nice adjustment as well on the play by Devin Thomas. He's a guy that's going to make plays. You see him here, nice underneath route and up the field, but he can make plays. He is a guy that will line him up all over the field in the return game. You just have to get the football in his hands.
They get the football in Colquitt's hands here on first down, and at 255 pounds, showing some shiftiness down to the 25. Harold Dalton on the stop there.
Well, when we talked to Norm Parker yesterday, I said, well, what are your concerns about Michigan State offensively? He said, well, Ringer breaking tackles. We know we'll be there in space to make tackles and have an opportunity to get him down. But 5 concerns me as well. He's referring to Devin Thomas. Already those two guys asserting themselves in this game along with J.U. Colquitt.
Norm Parker won a Rose Bowl coaching with George Perlis at Michigan State, now at Iowa. Here's a second down and 6 play, and an end around to Thomas, and he'll come up short of the first down, diving to the 21. Harold Dalton credited with the stop for Iowa.
And Devin Thomas kind of showed up in the spring. You know, he wasn't a guy that was relied on a lot last year. It was kind of in, you know, I don't know if you'd call it the doghouse with John L. Smith last season as they went 4-8, but he is a guy who stepped forward for Mark D'Antonio. He's a playmaker. The guy just makes plays all over the field. He's a guy you like after the catch, as well as making plays down the field as a deep down the field threat as well.
You would think he'd have had bigger numbers last year in the spread offense as opposed to the more traditional offense this year, as that pass is dropped by Pritchett. Would have been a first down across the 20-yard line, and so Iowa's defense holds, and Michigan State will settle for a field goal try.
You know, it doesn't surprise me here that Mark D'Antonio is going to take the points or a field goal attempt in this situation. It's a hostile environment on the road, a tough Big Ten road game. If you have an opportunity to put points on the board first, you certainly do that as the coach of the Spartans.
You see the numbers for Swenson, not impressive this year. This is a 39-yard try to put the Spartans on the board. And he missed it wide to the left. So a good opening drive for Michigan State. And Iowa holds, and then the missed field goal. Hawkeyes turn when we come back. No score early in the first quarter here in Iowa City after a missed 39-yard Michigan State field goal. And to get you ready for some Iowa football, here is the Hawkeyes' biggest fan.
Tom Arnold, University of Iowa, 1983, almost graduated. Today's a big game against Michigan State, so pull out all the mojo. My favorite possession in the whole world, my Golden Globe? Heck no. My 1939 Iowa Hawkeye football signed by the one and only Niall Kinnick. Librarian Robert Gallery's jersey, former Hawkeye great. He liked his jersey tight. My nipples are bleeding as we speak.
Arnold
had some fun with him, man. That's a good time.
He's from Ottumwa, Iowa. And unfortunately, his movie career, a lot like the professional career of Robert Gallery's. Not very good. Here's Christensen on the rollout. He's a left-handed quarterback, and his pass over the head of Darrell Johnson-Koulianos. And now for Iowa's offensive starters, here again is Tom Arnold.
Our offense today is great. We're led by Jake the State Christensen and his favorite wideout, James Cleveland. And then at tailback, we got Albert Young. Guaranteed 100-yard game today. First time since the opener. And our offensive line is led by Seth Olson. He's a triple-sided beef, corn-fed dude from Omaha. Can you smell that? Because that's the Iowa offense heating up.
It's a young offensive line, as you see.
Heating up, baby.
3 sophomores and a freshman. And they run Albert Young, and he gets about 5 to the 27-yard line before Kendall Davis-Clark, Michigan State's leading tackler, makes the play downfield.
Well, you talk about a young offensive line. Seth Olson being the elder statesman on that front as just a junior. Everyone else 3 sophomores and a freshman, true freshman start for the Iowa Hawkeyes up front. So it has been some problems there, and look for Michigan State to try to exploit that with some blitzes, some different looks up front to try to confuse those young offensive linemen.
And you know that's challenging for Kirk Ferentz, the head coach, who was one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL prior to taking over at Iowa as the head man. There's an incompletion to the sideline intended for James Cleveland, and Iowa goes 3 and out, and we'll have to punt the football.
Well, this may turn into a game of field position, and you know, the punters in this football game might get themselves a nice little workout, but Michigan State had a golden opportunity on 3rd down and didn't cash in. Iowa with a big stop and missed field goal. So here we are, punt and play defense, Dave.
And Terry Love back to receive the kick from Ryan Donahue.
Good punt.
That drives Love inside his 20-yard line, bobbled it, able to get possession, and then tripped up at the 22-yard line. A good punt, and then coverage by Olsta, the long snapper for Iowa. Love able to get possession. Pretty dangerous down there after a 55-yard punt. This telecast available on ESPN2 HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro HD TV. Back at a sold-out Kinnick Stadium, where the Iowa Hawkeyes go 3 and out in their first possession, and Michigan State takes over at its own 23. Back to the ground, Ringer. How about the burst to the outside? Stood up by the free safety Brett Greenwood at the 31 after a gain of 7 yards.
Well, you talk about the speed of Ringer at about 4.3 in the 40, but he's got tremendous quickness and vision to go along with it. He starts to the left side of the formation, and his athletic ability allows him to put that foot in the ground and hop one time, and all of a sudden he's outside the right tackle, Jesse Miller, for a nice gain. Michigan State, this is what they like to do. They like to play in the box, line up, and bring those 2 guys, Ringer and Colquitt, right at you.
Ringer picks up the first down and is over 1,000 yards now on the season. And as Andre mentioned in our open, the last Spartan to do that was T.J. Duckett back in 2001, when Duckett ran for over 1,400 yards.
Yeah, that seems, you know, a program like Michigan State hadn't had a 1,000-yard rusher for that long of a period of time. That just doesn't seem real. Doesn't seem like that should happen at a program that with all that they have and all the athletes that have come through the School of Michigan State.
You'd have to think there's some correlation with that in the fact Michigan State has not been to a bowl game since 2003. Catch by Thomas for another Michigan State first down. Adam Shada made the tackle, but after a gain of about 13.
Well, I like the job right now that Don Treadwell, the offensive coordinator for Michigan State's doing, mixing up Ringer and Colquitt and then getting the ball in his playmaker's hands, Devin Thomas the other. And if you can keep a defense off balance like that, you keep them guessing all afternoon long, he will have his way offensively. They went right down the field, failed to convert on 3rd down, but still, you have some momentum, you have rhythm calling plays.
As Treadwell with the white cap came over with D'Antonio from Cincinnati, where he was the last few seasons. Colquitt trying to find a hole and straight ahead to the 50-yard line. Mike Humple made the tackle, gain of 3. Over on ESPN, the Breeders' Cup, day 2 from Monmouth Park. And the Breeders' Cup juvenile fillies are 13 minutes to post. And we have our own workhorses here in Iowa City today with the Michigan State running backs Ringer and Colquitt, and combined 19 scores this year. There's a plow horse, Mike Clinkenborg. He'll run you over.
That's right.
Hoyer, flag down, and Ringer cannot catch it over on the far sideline.
Yeah, that's going to be a hole on Roland Martin, working inside the big right guard for Michigan State.
All right, for the Iowa defensive starters, here's Tom Arnold.
During the play, holding, number 73 offense, 10 yards, previous spot, repeat, 2nd down.
The Iowa defense is no joke. they're going to rally that Kinnick crowd into a frenzy. And there's a reason defensive tackle Mitch King wears number 47, because he spends as much time in their backfield as their backs do. And linebackers Mike Humble and Mike Clinkenborg play the kind of D that makes a middle-aged, out-of-shape Hawkeye want to run out there in the field and hit somebody. You know, even the opposing team's mascot, but somebody. And don't try picking our 6'1" corners, Charles Godfrey and Adam Shada, because you try any fade routes and your hopes will fade with them. Get it? It's a joke. Write it down. Go Hawks.
Well, not a fade route there, but a crossing route almost for a first down. Boy, Tom Arnold's best movie was True Lies with Governor Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
You saw that one.
Oh, yeah. Loved it.
Our thanks to Tom for helping us out this week. So third down coming up after that catch by true freshman Mark Dell. And Ringer has the first down and more. Tackled in the open field by Dalton at the 39 of Iowa.
Well, some guys just get a feel, and it's where in a ball game they get it at the running back position, and he seems to be out of the gate, and he has a feel for what's going on up front and in rhythm with that offensive line. Jevon Ringer, he is as fine a back as there is in the Big Ten. You talk about Rashard Mendenhall, another big-time talent at Illinois, but this guy kind of heads the class right now. First time over 1,000 yards for that young man. Congratulations. That's big.
We got P.J. Hill, of course, in Wisconsin. Boyer going deep. And the pass underthrown. It's still caught by Thomas inside the 5, and penalty markers down as well. Adam Shada was on the coverage. 2 flags fly in, and Thomas is inside the 5.
I don't know what type of speed Devin Thomas has, but every time you look up, he's behind the secondary, and we talked about it. He's a guy that can make plays after the catch if you throw him some nice little underneath stuff, and then he'll just flat out go by you and make a grab like he just did down the field. We'll get the official word here.
Pass interference. Defense number 19. The penalty is declined. First down.
Well, you're going to see Devin Thomas at the top of your screen, and it's just a nice little hint move. He's going to get a nice outside release and straight down the field. The quarterback's reading out here. Safety comes in. Now you're just one-on-one on the outside. He's behind the entire secondary, and Hoyer gets this ball up in the air. Devin Thomas catching it at its highest point.
After a 37-yard gain, Colquitt looking for touchdown number 14 on the season. And he's going to come up just shy of the goal line. Adam Shada had to leave after that play, and Bradley Fletcher coming in to replace him, but doesn't appear that Michigan State's going to be throwing the ball based on that last formation with 3 backs stacked one behind the other.
We talked to J.U. Colquitt a couple of weeks ago, and he said, you know, his eyes lit up when Coach D'Antonio at his press conference said that basically they were going to run the football. And he's a guy that loves to run it. He has a nose for the end zone. 13 touchdowns already for J.U. Colquitt on the season.
Colquitt on 2nd and goal. And Colquitt hit at the 1 and down there. Brian Madison made the initial hit, and now the ruling is a touchdown for Colquitt. Madison made the hit, but Colquitt just too strong at 260 pounds. Fell forward into the end zone.
Yeah, Brian Matheson got the initial contact, but the second effort on the part of J.U. Colquitt, he spun and then got himself in. You'll see him right here, right behind his big fullback, Devin Pritchett. And right there, Matheson gets the contact, but the spin move kind of gets him into the end zone. Nice run by the big fella.
Michigan State so far dominating in the first quarter as the PAT is good from Swenson. First drive, they're unable to come up with points. They get 7 on this drive and lead in Iowa City. J.U. Colquitt, after that Michigan State touchdown, helped to the locker room. He left on an earlier play to go to the sideline because he was banged up. Jevon Ringer did a lot of the damage on that drive, and Colquitt getting his 14th touchdown.
One thing you know about J.U. Colquitt is the way he loves to play the game, and if he is out of it for any extended period of time, you know it's bothering him because he loves to play. He will play hurt. And there, you know, you had to know that on that run he went for a touchdown and he was banged up.
Into the end zone for a touchback. Iowa will start at the 20, but first we go to the studio and check in with Reese Davis.
All right, guys, an early start in Lubbock, Colorado and Texas Tech. Taco Bell studio update. Red Raiders coming off that beat down by Missouri, and Colorado's Hugh Charles breaks it to the outside, and the Buffs have a 7-0 lead on ABC.
Oh, that's one to keep your eyes on. Texas Tech, they're usually pretty tough out on the west coast of Texas.
Iowa usually tough at home, but struggling in the first quarter against Michigan State, a 3-and-out on offense. And they've given up 2 lengthy drives to the Spartans. Here's Damian Sims, the backup tailback, picks up 3 yards to the 23. Now for Michigan State's defensive starters, here's senior safety Travis Key.
At the D ends, we have G-Ball, Erwin Baldwin. And on the other side, the sack master, Jonell St. Deek. Heading up the linebacking core, we have Baby Mad Dog, Caleb Thornhill. In the secondary, the Dog. We have myself and senior strong safety headbanger, Nehemiah Ward.
Warwick will hit you as that running play from Albert Young. I make that to Tom Bush. The fullback gets to the 25 for a couple of yards. Eric Gordon on the tackle for Michigan State. It's a very physical Michigan State defense. They're 4th in the country in sacks.
Hey, you talk about Eric Gordon. He got the start today, and he's a guy that just kind of gets better each and every week. He plays physical. His grandfather was the great MSU defensive end, Don Dahoney, and was an All-American in the 1950s. And played with no face mask. How tough is that?
He's replacing Sir Darian Adams, who did not make the trip for disciplinary reasons. More on that a little bit later. Christensen in trouble, and right on cue, the Michigan State pass rush. It's Irvin Baldwin getting the sack. He now has 5.5 on the year.
Came into this game with 31 sacks as a defensive unit, and they're going to harass Jay Christensen if he doesn't get a handle on things up front. And right there, nice little bull rush into the backfield, and Christensen can't even set his feet before Irvin Baldwin was right there with him. They can disrupt you up front. We talk so much about Jonell St. Deek on the other side, but they can bring pressure from many, many places.
Another good kick by Donahue. Love running around at the 40-yard line, and he gets tackled at the 39. If he got away from Paul O'Mara there at the 39-yard line, he might have been able to go the distance. Michigan State still with decent starting field position as we go down to the field and check in with Rob.
All right, Dave, you mentioned Sir Darian Adams, who did not make the trip here from Michigan State for disciplinary reasons. We're told this morning that that is unrelated to another situation involving Adams and 2 other Michigan State players, T.J. Williams and Jeremy Ware, who were arraigned on Wednesday on charges of robbery from an incident that happened back in April. Coach D'Antonio made the decision to keep all 3 of them on the roster, stressed that they've all maintained their innocence throughout. But Adams not here today for what we're told is an unrelated disciplinary reason.
I want to follow up on that after this play as Ringer goes straight ahead and plows forward to the 45. Stood up by Harold Dalton. Well, D'Antonio did discipline T.J. Williams and Sir Darian Adams over the summer. Williams missed the preseason and was not allowed to play in the first 2 games. And Adams was not allowed to participate in any summer conditioning. And D'Antonio, Andre, not the type of guy to pound his chest and say, hey, look at me and how I discipline my players. He's going to keep it in-house.
Yeah, he does. And that's a pretty good way of doing it. He does it among the family at Michigan State. And I think he handled it very well.
Here's Love out in the flat, and another Michigan State first down to the Iowa 47. Dalton makes another tackle along with Charles Godfrey.
Love's a guy that can make plays. You saw him on the punt return almost squeak away and get out of there. But, you know, you catch one of those quick hitches out there in the flat by yourself. The object is to get north and south and get positive yards. That's what allowed him to pick up the first down. Don't try to make everybody miss. Get the first down first.
8 first downs already for Michigan State. Ringer on the stretch down to the 45, got about 2. You know, you have to wonder, Michigan State lost to Ohio State last week, but made it close at the end. Even though they lost, did they gain some confidence from last week's game?
I think they did. They're sitting in there, you know, mano a mano with the #1 ranked team in the country, and it got ugly early. They didn't quit. They came back, forced some defensive touchdowns, and made some plays on that side of the ball, but, you know, never really established themselves on the offense. And coming in, they wanted to run the ball, stay balanced, which I think they've done a pretty good job of here early.
Already a $160 in total offense. Ringer again breaks one tackle and down to the 36-yard line. 9 more yards before Mike Humple makes the tackle, but it's another first down. Speaking of the Buckeyes, tonight they try to stay unbeaten and make it 27 straight regular season wins, 19 in a row in the Big Ten. Their last loss, you might ask, 2 years ago at Penn State, where they are tonight. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines at 8 Eastern on ABC.
They will, you know, it's kind of a surprise that they were able to bounce back after losing so much talent from last year's unit and to come right back and find themselves ranked #1 in the country again.
Colquitt back into the game, so he appears to be okay, and carries to the 33 for about 3 yards. Well, Ohio State continues to reload. The great job that Jim Tressel and his staff have done of recruiting as we look at our All-State BCS standings. And how about Boston College's win the other night at Virginia Tech?
Boston College, Virginia Tech will drop, and you know, someone else will move up behind Virginia Tech, maybe even Kansas, but they've got a tough one today, I think, at Texas A&M this afternoon.
Out into the flat to Love again. Good open field tackle by Fletcher. As we go back to the studio and check in with Reese Davis.
All right, guys, Louisville's Brian Brom, 5th in the nation in passing efficiency, about to throw his 25th touchdown pass of the year against Pitt. Harry Douglas coming underneath, scampering in against the Panthers, and Cragthorpe's team has a 7-0 lead. Purdue has also scored on a Keller rush, 7-0 over the Wildcats of Northwestern.
And you have to wonder, even though Brom continues to put up numbers, is he still in the Heisman race? You'd think that Matt Ryan, after what many would say was a signature moment, certainly helped himself the other night against Virginia Tech. Here, we've got a 7-0 game. Michigan State on top of Iowa after 1 in Iowa City. Back in Iowa City, Michigan State on top of the Hawkeyes, 7-0, and a 3rd down and 6 for the Spartans at the Hawkeye 32. And it's going to be a running play to Ringer. And he is tackled well short of the marker at the 29 by Mike Humple, their leading tackler on defense.
And you talk about wanting to be balanced. 26 plays now, 16 runs, 10 passes for the Spartans. Is relying on those 2 guys in the back. It's 3rd down. They will not flinch to run the football. And right there, Ringer kind of carrying the weight for him early in this ball game. Look at the total dominance in the first quarter in time of possession. That will win you a lot of football games.
You'd have to think D'Antonio was thinking we can pick up 6 yards running the ball. Otherwise, he wouldn't have called that. Swenson 0 for 1 already missed a 39-yarder, and now he's got a 46-yard try. And he nails this one. So after the miss in the first quarter, he comes back in the second quarter with a little bit of help from the wind and makes it 10-0 Michigan State. Well, we've got the Breeders' Cup going on over on ESPN, and we have given some of the Michigan State, quote, horses some nicknames, although Devin Thomas gave himself that nickname. Jevon Ringer from Dayton, and J.U. in Liberian actually means fussy child. And 6 for 6, Mark Dell, where's number 6, had a big catch earlier. Indian Blessing won the juvenile filly. I know that you're a big Indian Blessing fan.
Yeah, I follow the horses quite a bit. Bob McNair's a good friend, and he's got a couple of horses in the Breeders' Cup this week. So, you know, it's something you follow, and nice nicknames, though. Nice nickname.
This is a great day. You got the Breeders' Cup over on ESPN. Great college football here on ESPN2 this afternoon. Of course, coming up, we've got games at 3:30 on ABC, and then the big one tonight, Ohio State and Penn State on ABC at 8 Eastern time.
Should be a good ball game. Penn State will spread it out. Ohio State will try to pound it, and it will make for an interesting matchup.
And it'll be a touchback, and Iowa will start at the 20-yard line. And Jake Christensen Struggling so far, 2 possessions for the Hawkeyes and a pair of 3 and outs. We have not called that man's name yet. Jonal St. Deke, who set the Big Ten record last week with his 8th forced fumble on the year. He also has 9 sacks, but it's interesting in talking to the coaches, they're not sold yet. They want to see more consistency out of him.
Yeah, they're not ready to anoint him the best pass rusher among this group, but Ken O'Keefe certainly doesn't want to hear his voice or hear his name called very many times.
And some movement along the line. A player went across for Michigan State, but then got back.
False start, 79 offense, 5 yards. The down remains first.
That's the left guard, true freshman Brian Bulaga, making just his 2nd start this year. Back to the studio. Let's check in with Reese.
All right, Dave, on the banks of the old Raritan and Piscataway, it is coming a flood. West Virginia and Rutgers. And, Steve Slayton's had a pretty good year, averaging a little over 100 yards a game. But here's a little flash of that ability. A 38-yard side-to-side touchdown run that puts West Virginia on top of Rutgers 7-0.
Meanwhile, Reese, a good run by Young of about 5 yards out to the 22-yard line. Here's what I don't understand. Actually, they're going to say that it was only a 2-yard game that he stepped out of bounds. West Virginia is number 7. South Florida drops out of the top 10. South Florida beat West Virginia.
It's funny in college football. Nothing, that's why you got to figure out a way to get it decided on the field, because how it's working out now where a team loses and you've beaten a team, they're ranked so far ahead of you, makes no sense whatsoever.
Here's Albert Young with a huge hole. That's a great sign for Iowa, which has really struggled to run the football, dead last in the conference.
Well, you talk about struggling to run the football. Albert Young averages 4.6 yards a carry, but he had the longest run of the season last week for 26 yards against Purdue. So that's been their longest run of the season, 26 yards. That lets you know it's been hard getting some yardage behind that big offensive line. Young offensive line, I might add.
2 years ago, Young rushed for over 1,300 yards, but had an injured knee last year and rushed for fewer than 800 yards. And a little bit banged up this week, as Rob Simmelcare told you earlier, but is toughing it out. Christensen getting away from pressure and nearly intercepted by Travis Key. Actually, the tight end Brandon Myers broke up the pass. Otherwise, it would have been a pick.
Boy, I'm telling you, this is just a sign of inexperience on the part of Jay Christensen. You're going to see 9 guys in the box right here. The tight end's going to pop wide open. Nobody there. Give him the football. Right now, he's wide open. You wait too late. You throw it up. Now, all of a sudden, there's bodies around. He had him wide open initially. If you just set your feet looking down the field with your eyes, that one's going to come right into your vision, and you're able to deliver a catchable football.
3rd 3 and out for Iowa. And a short kick by Donahue, and it kicks left and out of bounds at the 38-yard line. Now, after that, Iowa head coach Kirk Ferentz has his youngest team in his 9 years at Iowa, and it is showing again today on offense, as the Hawkeyes, dead last in just about every category, including rushing in the Big Ten, have had 3 and outs already. A defense that was on the field for almost the entire first quarter is out there again. And Michigan State keeping it on the ground with Colquitt in good pursuit of the football by another youngster, true freshman Jacody Coleman at middle linebacker, making the play after a gain of 1.
Out of Beaumont, Texas, Westbrook High School, down near the Golden Triangle. There's a lot of good football players in that area. Talking to the running backs coach, Carl Jackson, he recruits that area, and he was the guy responsible for bringing in Jacody Coleman. So there, he passes some pretty good football players down in that area.
Well, Ferentz and his staff have always been able to recruit, and that's what's a bit surprising with their record over the last year and a half. After struggling down the stretch a year ago and just squeaking into a bowl game. Running play doesn't get much on 2nd and long. Ballard takes down Ringer. Ballard, another true freshman. He's from Lawrence, Kansas.
Well, finally, they're trying to show some spark defensively. Christian Ballard, the defensive end from Lawrence, Kansas, right here, fighting off a nice block, reading things well, and just basically whipping the junior Jesse Miller, the right tackle. But finally some life in this Iowa football team. They looked flat in the first quarter. Now we're well into the second quarter of this game. The fans have seen flat. Now they've got something to stand up and cheer about.
And it's because of those true freshman backup linebackers. Here's Hoyer on 3rd down and long. has time and takes off. Huge running lane. First down and more. Inside the Iowa 40 to the 38-yard line.
Boy, they drop the linebackers and then the ends and tackles, take an outside path in their rush lanes to get to Brian Hoyer. It vacates the entire middle of the field, so he sees it. Once he pulls it down, he makes Mitch King miss him, and then there's nothing but green grass in front of him. Smart quarterback there. Don't force anything down the field. Pick up the first down with your legs and move the chains.
23-yard gain on 3rd and 9. This will be play number 31 for Michigan State already in the first half. Hoyer on the play fake, going deep, and the pass well overthrown and incomplete. Good coverage by Bradley Fletcher on Devin Thomas.
Excellent coverage on the part of Iowa's defensive secondary, and you wonder why Brian Hoyer makes a play like that or tries to force one. Well, after a big play, when you get the defense down, they've had 2 emotional plays on 1st and 2nd down. You have a big play. Now all of a sudden they're down again. You take advantage of that by going over the top to a playmaker like Devin Thomas, try to give him a chance or an opportunity to make a big play over the top.
Back to the run on 2nd down. Ringer gets away from one man and an ankle tackled after a gain of 1. Charles Godfrey, who a lot of NFL scouts are high on because of his size and 4.4 speed, makes his 5th tackle already today.
Yeah, he is a good, solid football player. He's the brother of former Kansas State quarterback Al Roberson, attended the same high school as Drew Tate. So scouts love him. Norm Parker says he's playing some pretty good football, physical corner on the outside.
Tied for first in the Big Ten in interceptions coming in today with 4. Hoping to cover Devin Thomas in a passing situation here on 3rd and 8. Hoyer with time again, and his pass incomplete, intended for Thomas, jarred loose by a crushing blow from strong safety Harold Dalton.
Yeah, he's the guy that won the job in the spring, and basically when he was in high school, helped lead his team to a state championship. But he read this, made a nice reaction on the football, and basically got his helmet right on the football as Devin Thomas was trying to drill this one in. He clears the linebackers. The ball is well thrown and puts his helmet right on the football. Harold Dalton, nice defensive play.
And the first punt of the day for Michigan State. Bates going to try to pin Iowa deep. And that gets away from Warren. And Michigan State able to keep it. And no, it's a touchback. The back judge says touchback. One of the other officials said that the ball never got into the end zone. And it's the ball. It's not the feet. It's where the ball is. And it didn't appear that the ball crossed the goal line.
Oh, they're in a nice firm discussion there. One guy's trying to hold on to his call, the other's holding on to his, and the referee's got to come in and put his foot down.
Do you like this, though? They're having a
Not possessed until it was in the end zone. It's a touchback.
So Iowa will start at the 20-yard line. Warwick had a chance one time and then a second time and could not possess it.
ESPN's college football, brought to you by Lexus and their pursuit of perfection. Aflac, ask about it at work. And Taco Bell, think outside the box.
Great tradition of Iowa football and rich history in wrestling with 20 NCAA team championships and 215 All-American wrestlers at Iowa. With those guns, Sparty definitely one of the best mascot wrestlers in the country.
Smarty might be the best mascot in the country.
He's got some triceps on him.
He does a good job.
So far, 10 points for Michigan State, 12 yards for Iowa, and they get a few more on first down with Sims carrying and Greg Jones on the tackle. Back to the studio, and let's check in again with Reese.
All right, guys, Brian Brom going back to work once again against Pittsburgh right on the goal line. He'll find Anthony Allen, and Cardinals, who are 4-4, trying to make sure they at least become bowl eligible with a couple more wins. Off to a good start, up 14-0 over Pitt. Mississippi State in Lexington up early on the Cats. And
Meanwhile, Sims, a huge run, perhaps the biggest play from scrimmage this year for Iowa on the ground, and a penalty flag flies in late.
I think it's going to be a face mask at the end of this, but Damian Sims now owns the longest run of the season for the Iowa Hawkeyes. A young offensive line, and he gets...
After the play, personal foul. Defense, 15 yards. Automatic first down.
Looked like maybe hitting him out of bounds. So 30-yard run plus an additional 15 for the personal foul. But you're going to see him come right on the outside. Kyle Callaway, Brian Bulaga, the freshman left guard, open up a nice hole for Damian Sims. And then it's just sheer determination. That's what drew the flag, tackling him out of bounds. Iowa on the move, Dave.
And first 10 plays gained only 14 yards. That play goes 31 and then the additional 15. And back to the ground and Young. Nice move getting away from a diving Eric Gordon and picking up 9 more yards before Otis Wiley is there.
Boy, and it does some confidence. You know, you get a lot of confidence when you can have runs like that back-to-back. Damian Sims and Albert Young. All of a sudden you get that young offensive line in rhythm. They start to gain a little confidence that they can indeed get some things done against a good front four of Michigan State.
And Kirk Ferentz prides himself as a great offensive line coach, great head coach, but you talk to people in the NFL, and when he was there with the Browns and then the Ravens, he was perhaps the best in the NFL at that position. Here's Christensen with time, and his pass incomplete at the 5-yard line, intended for tight end Brandon Myers.
Yeah, when we talked to Kirk Ferentz yesterday, I said, what's the difference between having an experienced line and these youngsters that you have? He says, well, we could go in on Thursday and Friday, make some adjustments, some in-game adjustments while the game's going on. With the youngsters, it's so hard to communicate and make them understand it that we line up, we call it, and we run it. There's no adjustment period. We just call and run things.
He says it's been hard to really evaluate their skill players as Young picks up the first down and 3rd and 1. You know, Jake Christensen's 0 for 4 so far in the game, but he's had some bad throws, but hasn't exactly had all the time in the world with the exception of that last throw.
He had Brandon Myers wide open on a blitz that Michigan State was bringing on him, and he could have gotten himself a nice big freebie in the passing game there. But you look at him, I guess the only knock I have on Jake Christensen is he tries to throw everything hard. Every time he rears back, he's trying to drill it through a receiver's chest.
Young trying to cut back, and it's not there. Michigan State gang tackles Young at the 20. Irvin Baldwin leading the charge. Well, Kirk Ferentz says you knew what you're going to get out of Albert Young this year and Damian Sims.
Right.
But they got 4 redshirt freshmen at wide receiver because of an injury to Andy Brodell. And then Dominique Douglas was suspended after his arrest in the summer for alleged unlawful use of a credit card. And they just don't have a lot of veteran players right now on the offensive line or at the skill position.
Yeah, they lost the tight end Tony Moeki as well to a elbow and hand injury. He was lost for the season as well, so another experienced player out of the lineup.
Christensen with a good throw there. His first completion to the 10-yard line to true freshman Colin Sandeman. It appears he's going to be short of the first down. We mentioned Brodell, who had 39 catches last year. Dominique Douglas had 49, and neither guy available. Brodell because of an injury and Douglas the suspension.
Yeah, and 2 pretty good ones. I mean, they started their careers as young freshmen wide receivers as well, and have them missing from that lineup. That's tough.
Offense, 83, 5 yards. The down is repeated.
And that's another sign of a young football team right there. You get 3rd down and short, then all of a sudden you have the false start, the little guy getting a little anxious, and now you find yourself in 3rd down and 6.
It's hard to quick snap when you've got a young team, and not everybody's on the same page. They tried it there, and you have the false start, so it goes from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6.
You see Brodell and Douglas there and just how much they meant to this Iowa offensive unit.
Michigan State bringing pressure up the middle. Christensen, as flags fly, taken down at the 15-yard line by Jonal St. Dick. He got a yard or 2, but again, a penalty flag down. And it's going to be holding on Iowa. And St. Dick a little banged up, holding his left wrist.
I'm going to take the penalty here and back him up some more, make this field goal attempt a little bit longer. It'll be 4th down at the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly What Mark D'Antonio's thinking.
Number 63, 10 yards from the previous spot. The down is repeated.
If you decline the penalty, you've got a shorter field goal. If you take it, you're basically saying, well, Iowa's offense didn't get the first down anyway, so why not make it a
So make them earn the yardage. Make them earn that yardage back to indeed get the shorter field goal again. I like the call. Take the yardage, put a little pressure on the kicker, Daniel Murray, a freshman, another freshman for the Iowa unit.
So now it's 3rd down and 16. Let's see if Iowa can pick it up. Christensen going to the end zone, and the pass well overthrown. Paul Chaney was being covered downfield by Kendall Davis-Clark.
They do a tremendous job, Michigan State. They like Paul Narduzzi, the defensive coordinator. He likes to mix it up. He will blitz you from every look possible. It's a zone blitz. They like to do things like that, bring pressure from different angles. But he can get tremendous pressure as well from Janal St. Deke, Irvin Baldwin. When they don't have to blitz, those big guys on the defensive line can provide some pressure without having to blitz behind them.
Daniel Murray from 43 yards. Snap was high, but the ball down, and the kick good.
Nothing to it.
So Iowa comes up with points on Murray's longest made field goal of the season. Two-time Big Ten Coach of the Year and 2002 National Coach of the Year, Kirk Ferentz, trying to do his best with this young Iowa football team. After a miserable offense the first 3 drives, they're able to come up with a solid drive to get them a 43-yard field goal from Daniel Murray, his longest of the season.
Yeah, went 11-2 that year in 02 when he was the National College Coach of the Year. He's not afraid to play young players. You know, after he recruits them, he'll bring them in. I think he's played 11 true freshmen already this season.
And they only have 12 seniors on their roster this year. Here's Devin Thomas, dangerous as a return man. And there's a gap at the 30-yard line. And finally, Thomas tackled at the 43 by the kicker, Austin Signor. And Thomas a little shaken up as we go back to the studio and check in with Reese.
Devin Thomas, very good kickoff return there. Not quite as good as Kevin Marion from Wake Forest against North Carolina after a Tar Heels field goal. Wake Forest very quietly trying to win their 6th in a row, become bowl eligible, and they're just a game behind BC, though they lost head-to-head to them in that division in the ACC. It's 17-3.
Man was on cruise control.
Yeah.
Just cruising down the sideline.
Imagine if they would have been able to beat Nebraska earlier in the year. Really a game
should have won that football game.
Yep. Yeah. Ringer spun down at the 44 by Matt Kroll. We're coming up on post time for the next race over on ESPN with the Breeders' Cup. And you hear the sounder for the alert. Race 5 coming up. Don't forget, as we're 8 minutes to post for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, that the Breeders' Cup Classic, $5 million on the line at 5 Eastern. Will it be Street Sense, who won the Kentucky Derby?
Some good horses there.
2nd down and 7. The pitch to Ringer. And pass midfield, going to be close to the first down marker. Banged out of bounds by Mike Clinkenborg. They appear short of the first down as we talk about our Affleck trivia question. Who holds the Iowa single-season record for interceptions in a season? We mentioned earlier that Godfrey is tied for the Big Ten lead with 4.
Could he be a player that plays in the AFC South, maybe?
Who was on that 2002 team that you were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
A safety at about 5'7"
and plays like he's 6'11". Good football player.
It is a first down, and now Hoyer throwing out of the backfield to Hawkins, the fullback, and he's got another Michigan State first down to the 36, and Godfrey made the tackle that time for Iowa.
Well, I like this, the eyes of Brian Hoyer getting the football out at the first sight of color, gets the fullback right now. He shows up right away in the pass game, get the football out. Now that's operating. You're looking downfield, the first flash, first flash of color that's yours, you give to it. And Andrew Hawkins, the fullback, out in the flat, moving the chains. Nice job there. Hoyer, 9 of 12 on the afternoon, already over 122 yards. Nice start to this ball game. On the other side, Jay Christensen struggling a little bit.
Ringer finds the cutback, and down down to the 33. You know, Hoyer's an interesting story. He's from Ohio, and he was recruited by John L. Smith when he was at Louisville. He was not recruited at the time by Michigan State, and then he followed John L. to Michigan State. But Mark D'Antonio's a big fan of Hoyer, and
yeah, he studies the game, big-time student of the game, has great vision, strong arm as well. You know, he ran this offense, a similar offense to this one in high school, and attended the same high school as Louisville great Dave Ragone, who played for the Houston Texans for quite some time.
And played for John L. Smith at Louisville. 2nd down and 7. Hoyer with time. And he's going to the sideline, showing off that arm strength. And Love makes the catch and has room as he gets away from a defender. Godfrey missed the tackle, and eventually Jeremiah Hunter on the stop, but it's inside the 20-yard line.
Well, you talk about showing off arm strength. He's on the right hash, and a lot of colleges or a lot of defensive coordinators will play soft on that side because they feel like a quarterback can't make this throw. Nice comeback route, and this is in the air. Because the ball's in the air so long, they feel like the defensive back will have a chance to break on it. But nice push, put that foot in the ground, come back to the football. It's right on him. That is a big-time college throw right there.
Colcrick straight ahead, powers over a defensive back at the 8-yard line, Brett Greenwood, and down to the 6 for about 8 yards.
Well, let's just listen to Jehu Colcrick. That's a big fella, and you know he's been compared to a faster Jerome Bettis. Got to get him a nickname as well, the Train or something.
Colcrick in the United States, grew up in New York, but he's from Liberia, fled a civil war at the age of 8. Here he is again on 2nd down, stood up. Mike Humple made the play, no gain, but Colcrick was in a situation where he and his mother had to flee because of a civil war. His father was in the government, and Colcrick's father was assassinated, and he told us when we got a chance to sit down with him about a month ago just how appreciative he is of everything that he had.
He is an amazing kid, a fabulous student, studies the game, was voted captain of this football team. The first game of the season, he had four touchdowns in the first game, so he knows how to get into the end zone.
Ringer in the back of that stack, and then a timeout called by Iowa.
They're first.
See what Hoyer and the Spartan offense can come up with on 3rd down. Can the Iowa defense hold again? Dave Pash, Andre Ware, Rob Simmelcare back in Iowa City. Does Michigan State run or throw here on 3rd down and 3 inside the 10?
I'm going to run the football, either with Colcrick if he's back in the game, or Ringer. And then if you're short, then you come right back on 4th down and maybe a yard and run it again. But it looks like they are in a passing formation.
And Hoyer will throw on 3rd down to the end zone. Broken up by Fletcher, but a penalty flag as Fletcher was covering Devin Thomas.
Yeah, Fletcher got the right arm around the back of Devin Thomas. The official, the back judge, saw it, threw the flag right away, and they're going to be set up with a 1st down about half the distance to the goal. So pretty good.
Pass interference, defense, number 29. The ball will be placed by rule on the 2-yard line. Automatic 1st down.
And Fletcher in some pretty good coverage right here, matched up against nice little slant route inside. But you see right there the right arm wrapped around the back of Devin Thomas. That's going to draw the flag every time.
Yeah, good call there. Here's Colcrick on 1st down, looking for his 2nd score today. And he's stacked up at the 1. Brian Madison, whose father is the defensive coordinator at Florida. Greg Madison leading the charge there for Iowa defensively.
Well, Jehu just has a nose for the end zone. A lot of guys, you get them down here in these short yardage situations, and they know how to run the football. A lot of guys go in there, they're timid. He puts those shoulder pads over the feet and gets that body lean and momentum, and he's not afraid to hit it at 100 miles an hour at full speed. So he's bringing the impact to the defender.
Colcrick one more time and easily in. Touchdown, Michigan State. Colcrick's 2nd of the game.
And now his 15th rushing touchdown on the season. And, you know, just a guy who has a nose for the end zone. You get down here, you know that Mark D'Antonio, Don Treadwell, the offensive coordinator, that's who they're going to go to in short yardage situations.
So Brett Swenson on for the PAT. Michigan State leads it 17-3 over Iowa on the strength of 2 rushing scores by J.U. Colquitt. Michigan State head coach Mark D'Antonio said when he was hired to replace John L. Smith, he wanted to bring respect back to the football program. They hadn't been to a bowl since 2003, and if they win today, they'll be bowl eligible, getting their 6th victory after just 4 wins all of last year.
I think he's well on his way to kind of regaining that respect of the alums and those close to this Michigan State program. It's a good football team. They'll get in, they'll fight you for 60 minutes and leave everything on the field.
They've got Michigan at home next week, then at Purdue and home against Penn State, so this might be their best chance to get that 6th win with the way those other 3 schools are playing right now. Michigan is 4-0 in the Big Ten. Penn State's won 3 in a row. Purdue is 2-2 in the Big Ten, 6-2 overall. Valesky kicking off, and Johnson Koulianos will take it out for Iowa. And across the 20 to the 23-yard line. All right, back to the studio, and Reese Davis going to tell us what's coming up at the half. Reese.
All right, guys, on the AT&T halftime report, it's the Big 12, brother, the Buffaloes getting some business done down in Lubbock, much to the surprise of my guys here. West Virginia and Rutgers. Rutgers yet to show up for that one. We'll also check in on the game day guys there in Happy Valley getting set for Ohio State and Penn State tonight. All of the highlights coming up. Wake Forest is looking great, trying to become bowl eligible as well.
Yeah, guys look comfortable, though, don't they?
Yeah, they always do in their studio.
Yeah.
Albert Young on the first down carry out to the 27 for about 4 yards.
Still got some time to maybe go down and get yourself some points. 2 timeouts, just under 2 minutes. So you see what you can get on first down and then maybe try to open things up. But I think the problem they're going to have is holding up front. Once you open up to the passing game, can that offensive line of yours, Ken O'Keefe, the offensive coordinator there, can they hold up and give Jay Christensen some time to get the football out?
Now he's 1 of 6, only 9 yards passing. They'll run Young again, and he didn't get anything. Tripped up at the 27-yard line. And Michigan State
the body
electing to hold on to its timeouts here. You'd think maybe that they would use a timeout here and try to get the ball back.
Yeah, they're just letting it run. They had plenty of time. That's the eternity, and you're down 17-3, so you need some points going into the half. There's plenty of time to try to work something out with the clock, and now you bring up a 3rd down. If I'm Michigan State, I'm taking a timeout at this point after the down.
And if Iowa gets a first down, then Michigan State probably won't take a timeout. Christensen looking for 2nd completion of the day. He goes deep, and it's incomplete. Great coverage downfield by Ashton Henderson, getting the start today at corner over T.J. Williams.
Now, here's what you stop the clock for Michigan State. 50 seconds left on the clock, and this one's thrown well out of bounds. No way, I like the no call here. But now Michigan State going to be set up with some pretty good field position, and if Terry Love can get any type of return here for Michigan State, they're going to have 3 timeouts and go down and get themselves another score.
Obviously, the clock stopped right now on the incompletion, and Donahue's had 2 good punts, 1 bad one, and a solid punt. Love going to let it bounce inside the 30-yard line. And Michigan State will start this drive at the 26, looking for points, leading by 2 touchdowns. All right, time for the answer to our Aflac trivia question.
I'm thinking it.
And Kirk Ferentz upset over on the Iowa sideline with something.
Not sure what he's fired up about.
But that gets the fans into it. They were booing Iowa a moment ago, and now they're fired up because their head coach is too. Well, it's been an up-and-down era for Kirk Ferentz. 1-15 at the outset. Then during a stretch from 2001 to 2004, 33-7. And the last couple of years, it's been a struggle, but
well, Michigan State going to play the safe game. Go to victory formation, kneel it down, and get this one into halftime. I just feel like, I'm one that believes that there are never too many points scored in the first half of a football game. You get as many as you can get in the first half.
So a timeout called by Kirk Ferentz here. One left for Iowa. All right, our Aflac trivia question was in regards to interceptions for Iowa. We mentioned Charles Godfrey has 4 this year, and that is tied for the Big Ten lead. And we wanted to know who holds the single season record at Iowa. And both you and I were thinking Bob Sanders of the Indianapolis Colts, who was obviously a great college safety, 2nd-round draft pick.
But it's not.
Yeah, Lou King, and then Niall Kinnick, who 50 years before Andre Ware won the Heisman Trophy. Niall Kinnick, 1939, won the Heisman Trophy, and that is Tom Arnold's idol. Niall Kinnick, Tom Arnold, there it is. There's his football. It's signed by Niall Kinnick.
Oh, that's special.
And of course, this stadium here named after the great Niall Kinnick. Boyer takes a knee, and Michigan State's going to have a 14-point lead at halftime. But I'm with you. I'm a little surprised they didn't call a timeout after that 2nd down, because they'd have had about a minute to go when they got it back after the punt. And the way they've been able to throw the ball today,
I could see maybe the run. You run a draw play on the first play, see if you could pop one. If not, then you really channel in to try to convert the first down. And you still had 2 timeouts left. That was a lot of time that the Iowa Hawkeyes let get away from them.
All right, here's Rob Simmelcare.
Okay, here with Coach Ferentz. First of all, Coach, obviously you're very upset at the end of the half there about the officiating. What was the issue?
That was a missed call. That's not a big issue. We're getting outplayed in every area now.
What do you guys have to do to get your offense on track here for the second half?
Well, we have to quit hurting ourselves. The one drive we did have, 2 penalties down inside the 20. That's not a good thing. We need to be clicking on all cylinders to have a chance.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Dave, back up to you.
Now, Kirk Ferentz, always a class act, one of the most respected coaches in football, but having a tough time getting things going in Iowa City in 2007. His team down 2 touchdowns, and it's time now for the AT&T Halftime Report. Reese Davis, Mark May, Lou Holtz. Fellas.
It is usually Jonell St. Deke, though a lot of Spartans tend to get in the backfield. Irvin Baldwin does there. Of course, a lot of people in the backfield on Iowa. No quarterback's been sacked more than Christensen. 17-3 at the break.
Right, they've got to find a way to start to move the football in the second half of this ball game, especially through the air. They've had some nice runs with Albert Young and Damian Sims, but they've got to find a way to get the football to the wideouts and maybe spread out this Michigan State defense.
Michigan State looking to be bowl eligible, go to its first postseason game since '03, and Chaney unable to get past the 15-yard line on the kickoff to start the second half. Brandon Denson made the stop, and here's Rob.
All right, I had a chance to speak with Michigan State head coach Mark D'Antonio coming back on the field about that first half, and I guess as is appropriate for the Iowa caucus season here, he gave me a very political answer, said that he told his team to stay the course in the first half. He was happy with the way things went, wants his defense to continue to really get off the ball, especially on 3rd down.
Yeah, very Jim Tressel-like answer. Young gets nothing there in 1st and 10, and Tressel, mentor of D'Antonio's. D'Antonio coached that 2002 National Championship defense as Tressel's coordinator, and of course Tressel and the Buckeyes taking on Penn State tonight on ABC.
And on the other side, Ken O'Keefe, the offensive coordinator, talked to him yesterday and said, what do you have to do? What are your keys in this football? And he said, well, we want to take care of the football. They've done that. Start fast. They have not done that. And be physical at the line of scrimmage. They have not done that as well. They are being dominated in the trenches.
Christensen to the air, in trouble on 2nd down, but he gets away from a defender and positive yardage to the 21. About 6 yards there before Eric Gordon makes the stop. We talked about some of the lopsided stats, and we'll show you them now, including first downs, 14-3.
Yeah, that one right there just kind of stands out, because sooner or later you're going to have to make some plays to keep Michigan State defensively off balance, and if you can't do it in the passing game. You're running the football effectively at times, but you're going to have to throw it. If it's just for hitches, slants, something to complete passes. Christensen struggled the first half of this game.
They'll keep it on the ground on 3rd down and 3, and Young is tackled well short of the marker by true freshman Greg Jones.
Yeah, the coaches really just kind of rave about his athletic ability and him being a playmaker. Just a true freshman, as you mentioned, has picked things up tremendously well, and he's second on the team coming into this game, Dave, as a true freshman in tackles. So he's made some plays. Narduzzi talks about him. It's high praise for a guy like Greg Jones.
And what kind of confidence does Iowa have in its quarterback right now? Only 9 yards passing, and they run the ball there on 3rd down and about 3.5, and don't even come close to getting it. And a fair caught inside the 30-yard line by Love. And Michigan State leading 17-3 with the leader in the horse race, Devin Thomas, back on the field when we come back. This telecast is available on ESPN2 HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro HD TV. A day of horse racing over on ESPN with the Breeders' Cup. Kirk Ferentz wishes he had some more horses. Yeah. Iowa just doesn't have enough offensively to compete in the Big Ten in 2007. Struggling with Michigan State as a flag flies at 1st down. Ringer darting up the sideline to about the 35. He got 7, but again, a penalty marker in.
So far, all the horses running in this race are wearing green and white. Ringer, Colquitt, and Thomas. Thomas out front. Get the official word here.
54 offense, 10 yards, previous spot. The down is repeated.
That's on the center, John Masters. And our Breeders' Cup alert, race 6 coming up over on ESPN. The $5 million Breeders' Cup Classic scheduled for later today, and the filly and mare turf, 9 minutes to post over on ESPN. Monmouth, New Jersey, the site of the 2007 Breeders' Cup. Here's a running play on 1st down and 20. And out past the 20-yard line to the 23 was Jevon Ringer.
Well, we talked about Devin Thomas, and ranked 5th in the country in all-purpose yards. And today, look at it, 139 already. That was pretty much in the first half. So he's well on pace to go over his season average of 204 on the season.
Thomas had 6 catches last year, 42 on the season coming into today. Looks like Hoyer had trouble with the exchange, and then he's sacked for the first time today inside the 15-yard line by Chad Geary.
Chad Geary got the start today for an injured Ken Iwebama, who was out with a concussion. So the young sophomore gets the chance right here, and you see the bobble snap on the part of Brian Hoyer right there. Couldn't get a clean exchange from John Masters, threw the timing off, which allowed for Chad Geary to come free. But Iowa, there's no quit in this football team, Dave.
Geary, a walk-on, exhibiting that kind of an attitude throughout his young career, getting his first sack of the season. And now a 3rd and 23 for the Spartans. Hoyer, and his pass well thrown behind Devin Thomas, incomplete. And Iowa will get the football back in perhaps good field position, and obviously depending on the punt.
And exactly what they had to have happen. The defense, one of those 2 units, were going to have to step up, and it's the defensive unit giving up 17 points in the first half of this football game, stepping up with a big sack, nice turnaway right there on 3rd down, and they're going to get some excellent field position for this offensive drive to start for Iowa. Maybe they go down, get themselves some points, and a little bit of confidence to go with it.
Well, they certainly need some confidence as the true freshman Bates boots it away. Not a good kick, but it takes a one-hopper to Sandeman, and he's pushed out at the 45, and a penalty flag flies in. Certainly a late hit over on the sideline at the Michigan bench.
Well, Colin Sandeman did the right thing. There was a big hole in front of him. Just take the positive yards and get as much as you can without the blocking, and then he's going to pick up an extra 15 on a late hit out of bounds.
Play. First foul, defense 36. 15 yards to the end of the run. First down.
Here's the question. Can Iowa capitalize? They haven't been able to do that today.
Yeah, we hope so, but you're going to see on the punt return here, he gets the positive yardage right here. He's telling everybody, get away from him. Mark D'Antonio thought maybe he was giving a fair catch signal, but you can still pick it up and run with it. And then there, coming in just a tad bit late, John Minch, the backup linebacker who contributes on special teams for Michigan State, add a little bit of yardage. And right now, Iowa set up in some of their best starting field position of the afternoon.
First down on the Michigan State 30. That was clearly not a fair catch signal. He was obviously waving everybody on his team off. Here's Young breaking tackles and then finally drilled at the 27-yard line. Gain of 3 on the play. And Ashton Henderson the first to greet the running back Young. Baldwin finished him off.
Check this one out. Best starting field position for Iowa by 47 yards. That's more than half a football, or right at half a football field. They have started in some horrendous field position in this football game. So right now, what do you have to do? Take advantage of it.
Only one completion for Jake Christensen. Neither team has had great starting field position, but Michigan State's been able to move the ball at will. Young breaking free into the secondary, and Young's going to score. Touchdown, Iowa.
Fabulous run on the part of Albert Young. Tremendous blocking by Dan Doring, the right guard, and Seth Olson, their best offensive player on that offensive line, the junior. The elder statesman Young saw it, hit it, and he was long gone before anybody on the defense of Michigan State was able to show up.
A 26-yard rushing touchdown. And the extra point is good.
For a fantastic run by the youngster Albert Young. Hit the hole 26 yards later. It's pay dirt and the end zone, into the end zone, brings Iowa within 7 points.
ESPN's College Football, brought to you by Chevy, an American Revolution, and Liberty Mutual, responsibility. What's your policy?
Inside the beautiful Iowa locker room, and the strength coach coming up with Break the Rock a few years back, and they touch that rock every time they come out to the field. Meanwhile, the visiting team is inside their pink locker room here at Kinnick Stadium, which has pink carpeting and toilet seats. That's only the 4th rushing touchdown for Iowa this year and the first in 7 games. You got to go back to Iowa State in September, the last time they had a rushing score.
Yeah, it's been tough going on the ground for this Hawkeye football team, but right now all their concern was getting themselves back in this football game, and they have done just that.
And Jimerson on the kick return, hit short of the 20-yard line, wrapped up at the 19. Excellent coverage by Iowa. Jordan Bernstein down there for the Hawkeyes as we go to the studio and check in with Reese.
All right, guys, going to look around the family of networks. Just a minute or so until post time in the Breeders' Cup Emirates Airlines Philly and Mare Turf Race. Breeders' Cup World Championships on ESPN all day. West Virginia and Rutgers are at halftime on ABC, and the Mountaineers have a 17-3 lead. Keep you up to date on everything going on from here studio, guys.
And who knows, West Virginia may work its way back into the national championship race, depending on how things go. BC and Ohio State, obviously. Here's Hoyer to the air, and a catch across the 25-yard line by Dion Curry, tackled by Charles Godfrey. Curry is the son of former NBA player Michael Curry, who spent 12 years in the league.
And he's a two-sport star himself, plays on the basketball team at Michigan State. He's a disciplined, tough kid, solid defensive player on the basketball team. So he alternates in there with Mark Dell. One week Mark will start, Mark Dell will start, and the next week Dion Curry gets to start. They split time at that position.
Michigan State's basketball team this year expected to challenge for the Big Ten title, ranked preseason top 10. The ESPN poll that was just released a couple days ago. Here's Ringer, and he appears to have the first down across the 30-yard line to the 31, tripped up by Jacody Coleman.
You know, if as an offensive unit at the quarterback, if a team goes down, they punch one in the end zone, they get themselves back in the football game. Well, now it's on you. Hey, as a unit, let's go down and quiet this crowd, quiet the football team, get the momentum back by putting some points of our own back on the scoreboard. And it seems as though Michigan State, behind Brian Hoyer, set to do just that, moving the football effectively so far.
If you're a Spartan fan, you got to be shocked your team's only up 7 when you've dominated the entire game. Colquitt banged around at the point of attack by Bradley Fletcher and company.
You know, it's part of that goes into coaching, and it's a direct reflection on the job that Kirk Ferentz does with this football team. He knows they're a young football team, but they don't make mistakes. Plus 8 in the turnover margin, so that will keep you in a lot of ball games. That's why Iowa still in this ball game, just down 17-10.
Mitch King shaken up on that last play. You saw him leaving. Second down and 10. And Hoyer finds Ringer, gets away from Coleman, and then planted at the 35. And Iowa really running to the football here in the third quarter defensively.
You know, when we talked to Norm Parker yesterday, that's the very thing that he said scared the mess out of him was the fact that Ringer breaking tackles in the open field. That, you know, he said, hey, we are going to be there in a position to make some tackles, rally into the football. Now we got to get him down. He's a guy that can break tackles and still get yards after contact. Right there, you saw the best of Jevon Ringer.
Third down and 6 for Michigan State. If they don't pick it up here, Iowa's going to get it back with a ton of momentum. Hoyer going to the sideline, picked away at the last moment. Incomplete. Mike Humpel with a great play covering the tight end, Kellen Davis.
But an excellent job on the part of Iowa in terms of knowing what the offense is going to try to do to you. Hoyer right here, smash route. What did we look at yesterday in terms of film study that Purdue did a lot of? Completed smash routes against this defense. They saw it, figured out the weaknesses, cleaned things up in the secondary, and right there, Michigan State tried to go to it. Iowa took it away. The result's going to be a punt.
Sandeman racing over to the sideline. It'll go out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Smash route you're talking about underneath in the flat. Over the top guy goes corner, right?
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
What it is?
That's it. You've been educated well, my man.
Listening to you. Breaking down film. We'll see if Jake Christensen did some film study himself over the course of the week and looking at some of the weaknesses of Michigan State's defense. He's only got 1 completion so far.
Yeah.
And the offensive line has done a pretty decent job since the first quarter of giving him time to throw.
They have held up. He's just got to make a decision, get the ball out. He's holding the football a little bit too long.
Play fake. Christensen's got an open man, and this time he does get rid of it. And it's a catch out around the 35-yard line, close to the first down. James Cleveland, freshman wide receiver, made the grab, tackled by Travis Key.
And he felt like Ken O'Keefe said, you know, there's going to be a lot of pressure in this football game. And when Michigan State really gets their ears pinned back, we're going to have to move Jake Christensen around a little bit, some bootlegs and things of that sort. He's athletic enough to make those types of plays where he's moving out of the pocket, throwing on the run. And there, nice completion, nice catch, and picked up a first down.
Only the second completion for Christensen. A tall order to replace 3-year starter Drew Tate, who led Iowa to the Capital One Outback and Alamo Bowls. And a first down pickup. Albert Young to the 40-yard line. Back to the studio in Reese.
Boy, young football team with plenty of talent. Illinois.
They lost here in Iowa and then fell to Michigan last week. Young is twirled to the turf at the 46 by Gordon, but after he got the first down. How about Ball State? Ball State almost beat Nebraska earlier this year, and doing a good job at Illinois.
One of those 3 keys I told you about that Ken O'Keefe told us that they had to do. Take care of the football. Hey, they've done that. Start fast. Well, they got off to a little bit of a slow start, but they have come out of the locker room and a fast start to the second half of this ball game. And then be physical. Establish the running game. That's exactly what they've done here in the second half.
Our guy Tom Arnold predicted Albert Young would have a 100-yard day, and he's pretty close. Here he is on the draw on first down. Good running room into Michigan State territory at the 49 before Caleb Thornhill made the tackle. You know, you made the point, Andre, earlier about Kirk Ferentz and the type of coach that he is and the adjustments that he makes. Here's a guy that has been incredibly loyal to Iowa. Ferentz has had countless opportunities to leave for bigger college jobs or NFL head coaching positions, but he continuously turns them down to stay with the Hawkeyes.
Well, you know, a lot of college coaches would not have done that. And they all bolt to the NFL or some other school that they think is more glamorous. And talking to him, he said, hey, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. He loves this program. They love him, and it's a great match.
And Young, another huge gap across the middle, and Young wasn't down. Inside the 35 as Albert Young is close to 100 yards.
Well, this is just sheer determination. It's going to open up behind Brian Bulaga and Kyle Calloway right there. Nice little crease up the field for Albert Young, and he's got good vision. It's tremendous balance as well, putting that hand on the ground, keeping his balance, but some nice blocks up front. Alan Reisner, the tight end, in there fighting for the running back. And, you know, one thing Norm Parker, the defensive coordinator, said, hey, I said, isn't it going to be a long year for you? He said, no, these kids love to come to practice.
And a little change of pace here with true freshman Jevon Pugh getting the carry. And he's to the 31-yard line for a couple of yards. Now, you mentioned Ferentz earlier, and we're talking about how loyal he's been.
Right.
Gary Barta is really the new athletic director, second year for him. But he has been quoted as saying that Ferentz, even though Iowa struggled last year and this year, will be the coach next year and into the future. And hey, the loyalty should be returned and reciprocated.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you got a guy that is wanted everywhere around the country for just about every job that opens up, and he stays loyal to you. You got to take care of him.
Albert Young back into the game, and more running room as he gets a great block from his wide receiver Cleveland, and finally Young is brought down inside the 5 by Davis Clark. Now they're running all over Michigan State after they couldn't even move the ball in the first half.
Well, the guy I liked and the block I liked was Kyle Calloway's block on the edge, which allowed for Albert Young to turn the corner. Big number 60 going to come into your screen right there. Just gets enough of the edge to allow Albert Young to turn the corner and race for the end zone. Iowa establishing the line of scrimmage just like Ken O'Keefe, the offensive coordinator, said they had to do to give themselves a chance to be successful on offense.
This is the best that they have run the football all season long. Young again, and it's a touchdown for Iowa. And the Hawkeyes within a point of tying the game.
Well, you give some momentum to a young, hungry football team, and that's the result. They find a way to get it done, and you got some tremendous coaches, both coordinators, offensively, Ken O'Keefe, defensively, Norm Parker, been in this program for 9 seasons. There's some continuity there. They figure out ways to win football games.
Unbelievably, we are tied at 17 after Iowa could do nothing in the first half. Albert Young going off in the second half. He's over 100 yards rushing, and Iowa's got 2 rushing scores in the third quarter.
I know you like the way I do it. I know you like my style. I know you wish that you could.
First time all season that Iowa's had multiple rushing touchdowns in a single game. They've both come this quarter, and both by Young to tie the game at 17. Unbelievable turnaround.
Yeah.
Hawkeyes had only 71 first half yards. They got a $123 here in the quarter.
Boy, Albert Young, all of a sudden he has established himself. He is very much involved in this football game, and Michigan State now on their heels a little bit.
But Devin Thomas can change it with a big return, and that's solid out past the 30. Ryan Gaddis, though, made the tackle at the 32. And hey, we got to tip our hat to football expert Tom Arnold for, out of moi, Iowa, who said that Albert Young would get it done today.
And then at tailback, we got Albert Young. Guarantee 100-yard game today. First time since the opener.
He called it right there. Albert Young is asserting himself in this football game. One touchdown run right there, and then another one right there, right on the goal line for 6. Got a little more giddy up in him. Kind of a new horse, A-Dot, adding his name, coming on late.
Yeah, A-Dot winning the horse race right now. Here's Thomas on the end around, and Iowa all over it. Their defense looks entirely different in the third quarter. That's only a 2-yard pickup for Thomas.
It's amazing how the offense's success will affect the defense and how the defense's play will affect the offense. It's such an emotional game. It's played with a lot of momentum, and right now, this sideline of the Iowa Hawkeyes have all the momentum in the second half of this football game.
Well, Mark D'Antonio's a pretty good football coach himself. Be interesting to see not only physical adjustments, but mentally. He's got a lot of veterans on this team. How do they respond to the challenge here in a very tough place to play? Hoyer downfield for Davis. Should have caught it. Maybe heard the footsteps of Brett Greenwood, who led him up, and it's incomplete.
Well, Brett Greenwood led him up, but it was the outside linebacker, Mike Humple, who came across, got a hand just in front of the football and the face mask of Kellen Davis to just maybe broke his concentration just enough. You see him right there. Also in the area, number 42, Jeremiah Hunter, the freshman outside linebacker there as well. Just enough to break up the concentration of Kellen Davis.
Humble, a guy that shouldn't even be playing. He had an osteotomy, a crazy leg surgery 2 years ago. They thought he was done. Not only is he back, but he's playing great football. Hoyer in trouble on third down. Gets away from a defender and is going to pick up the first down. Great job by the quarterback Hoyer to sense pressure and pick up about 12 yards.
Boy, Mitch King's going to kick himself because he had Brian Hoyer in his mitts and let him slip away, the number 47, right in the middle of the screen. You see the big fella right there. Watch the pass rush. Nice little underneath move, and he's there. Now I just got to make the play, get my hands on him some way, shape, or form. It's such a tremendous outside rush that things clear for Brian Hoyer on 2 occasions where he's able to run for first downs.
From the Michigan State 47, Ringer. Penalty flag down. Ringer is down. Planted by Bradley Fletcher, who's done a good job since coming in for Adam Shada, who got hurt in the first half. And it's a penalty on Michigan State.
I think it's going to be a holding call on the big fella, Roland Martin, the junior offensive lineman.
Holding, 73 offense, 10 yards from the previous spot. The down is repeated.
Well, tonight, another Big Ten game. Number 1, Ohio State taking on Penn State. Ohio State has lost 5 of the last 6 at Penn State, including 2 years ago, which was their last regular season loss. They've won 26 in a row in the regular season since then. Who's going to win tonight, Andre?
Well, I think it's Ohio State tonight. I liked Michigan State against Ohio State last week. They made a late game effort out of it and got close, but not close enough. We saw Penn State last week. I'm more impressed with the job that Jim Tressel's doing at Ohio State this week.
Hoyer, hit as he delivers to Ringer in the flat. Ringer again showing that speed and drilled by Godfrey out of play at the 44-yard line, but a good pickup on 1st and 20 of 7 yards.
Well, you mentioned the scouts love Charles Godfrey. His size at 6'1", over 200 pounds, just under 210, playing corner. So a big physical guy on the outside. He's one of the leaders of this defense, and scouts like his versatility. He's played inside a little bit at safety in his career here at Iowa as well.
And Norm Parker's coached a lot of good defensive players at Michigan State, where he was in the 80s and early 90s, and then, of course, at Iowa, including maybe the best they've had in a long time on the defensive side of the ball, Bob Sanders. Hoyer going for Thomas, and Godfrey's there to break it up. Thomas would have had the first down, but a nice play by the senior from Baytown, Texas.
Boy, you know, here's an example. We talked a little bit about smash routes again. You're going to see a flat route and it's back to the corner on the outside. That's what you call the smash route, a presence in the flat and then corner routes. Purdue absolutely wore out Iowa on that route last week. We saw it over and over on film study yesterday, Dave. Iowa and Norm Parker with a feel of having to clean that up in a pressure situation. Michigan State's gone to it a couple of times. Iowa has responded.
And Hoyer struggling here in the second half. That was a high throw. Hoyer on third down, dumps it off. And not going to get the first down. Hawkins tackled about 6 yards shy of the marker at the 48-yard line by A.J. Eads. So Norm Parker's defense holds, and Iowa's going to get it back. And the way they've been moving the ball on offense, all bets are off here in the second half.
Well, it's take care of the football on this end of the field, because he's going to punt it down there, and they'll be well inside, right around the 10-yard line. So a young football team, the thing that you worry about the most, ball security, but they just don't turn it over. +8 in turnover margin are the Hawkeyes.
And they got a true freshman back there to return this punt. Sandeman will field it at the 8. There it is, the muff, but he's able to recover it. Well, you certainly worry about that as a coach. And Sandeman made the mistake, but then was able to fall on the football. Back to the studio, and let's check in with the Reese. There are 9 teams in the Big Ten with 5 wins, including Michigan State and Northwestern, as Albert Young gets a couple. Iowa, if it wins today, it's not an easy road, but certainly easier than Michigan State. So there's a good chance if Iowa wins today with games against Northwestern, Minnesota, and Western Michigan, the Hawkeyes could still make it to a 7th straight bowl game.
Yeah, they're going to have their hands full, because it's a good Northwestern team they'll face next week. But then the remainder of that schedule certainly sets up in their favor. I'll tell you the difference in this game for Iowa right now. The first half, they averaged 3.6 yards per play. In the second half, it's been just under 10 yards at 9.8.
They're going to play it safe down here inside their 10-yard line on 2nd and 8. And Young gets about 3 yards before Eric Gordon makes the stop. Let's check in with Rob.
All right, Dave. Well, this Michigan State defense, after looking invincible in the first half, obviously a lot more porous here. And Michigan State defensive coordinator Pat Narduzzi sprinted down literally from the press box down to the field after that last Iowa drive, went over to his defense and said, guys, we're keeping 7 in the box for the rest of this game. We're going to keep bringing it to them.
How often do you see that? A guy starts the game in the press box, and now he's down on the field calling plays. Narduzzi's defense better step up in the 4th quarter. Iowa back in the game, is tied it at 17. Iowa in front of a 28th consecutive sellout at Kinnick Stadium, outscoring Michigan State 14-0 in the 3rd quarter to tie the game at 17, trying to force Michigan State to wait one more week at least to get bowl eligible. And on 3rd down here, a pass caught by the tight end Brandon Myers, and it's going to be very close to the 1st down at the 18-yard line.
I think he's going to have it. Boy, it's going to be close. Ooh, that's close. Looked originally like he was going to get a good spot, and then the official took one step back. Instead of marking with the right foot, he marks with the left. Check it on the replay here. Nice job of getting the football out to Brandon Myers. Him just hook up, and Brandon's actually got to get a little bit deeper on his route. Stretch out, big fella.
Yeah, I think the knee was down. It's where the ball is, but if the knee's down, it's where the ball is where the knee is down, and looked like they marked it pretty well. And he's short.
Oh, just short.
All right. Do I even need to ask you? Do you go for it on 4th down?
Punt the football, baby. Punt the football.
That's what Kirk Ferentz is going to do. I mean, that's the right decision here. You're inside your 20. You've got all the momentum in the world. Don't take a risk. You haven't had any turnovers in the game. We haven't had any plays that have had to go for further review either in this game. And now Ryan Donahue charged with the job of trying to kick it over the head of Terry Love.
Any forward progress, Michigan State's going to be set up in tremendous field position. Good punt.
Great kick over the head of Love, and it takes a hop inside the 10. Could this be a touchback? You got to be kidding me. That's an 81-yard punt.
Well, you talk about having some weapons in the special teams game. A freshman, Ryan Donahue, hits one 81 yards. Before that, his long for the season was 68 yards, but he hit that baby. It looked like a missile.
Let's check in with Rob down on the field.
I tell you what, not only was that a great kick, but a huge gust of wind came right to his back right before that snap. Literally almost blew me over. So that obviously helped a little bit. A tremendous kick and a big play for Iowa.
Well, you got to get in the gym, Rob.
Mother Nature playing a factor in the game as well.
We're going to get Rob with an Andre Ware workout so the wind doesn't blow him over.
That's right. Rob's got some guns now.
Unfortunately for Iowa, though, it went into the end zone, so it's a touchback. Hoyer on the play fake, steps out of trouble, and gets a couple of yards to the 22. Matt Kroll tripped him up. Back to the studio again. And wow, and Reese, you have to wonder, is Graham Harrell no longer a member of Andre Ware's Battle Royale? Here's a running play as the flag flies, and Colquitt wrapped up at the 22-yard line by Mike Humble, but again, a penalty flag down.
Charles Godfrey getting in there as well. Now Iowa, the defensive unit, flying around to the football. A lot of bodies around the football as they make tackles. Well, this one right in that area of holding again, and this could be huge. Because now when you get in a close football game, you start to play field position. That's
During the play, personal foul, 75 on the offense. 15 yards. From the previous spot, repeat the down.
Pete Clifford.
Yeah, everything going wrong for Michigan State.
Yeah.
All right, it is Battle Royale time right on cue as Reese was talking about the struggles for Graham Harrell, who is out of the ring this week.
Well, I think it's Graham Harrell at Texas Tech. You get beat by Missouri a few weeks ago. Didn't look very well last week, and so where is he? There he's hiding from me, trying to stay in the ring. Right there, struggling today. Graham Harrell gone from the Battle Royal list.
And a big stage for Dennis Dixon today of Oregon against USC, and Matt Ryan with a Heisman signature type play on Thursday. Really two of them in the last 2 minutes to beat Virginia Tech. Here's Ringer on second down at about a 2-iron, and he doesn't get much. Maybe got the 15-yard line, and that's it.
I like that, second down and a 2-iron.
I'll tell you, the punter for Iowa, who kicked it 81 yards, Brian Donahue, that was about a 3-wood. That was not the longest punt, though, in Iowa history. You'll recall the great Lonnie Rogers back in 1962 had an 83-yard punt. Of course, Reggie Roby punted here at Iowa.
He could sail a few. Well, Brian Matheson having one heck of a game defensively for that man, Norm Parker. The outside linebackers, Clinkenborg in the middle, along with Hunter and Humple.
Another flag down here on 3rd down and 14, and it is going to be intercepted on the deflection by Brett Greenwood. And now they're ruling incomplete. They're going to say he did not catch it. We might have our first review, but we got to also see what the penalty is.
Well, he's running right to the head coach and telling him to throw the flag. And, you know, sometimes you got to trust your players.
The penalty for illegal skip on the offense is declined.
Brett Greenwood went right to Kirk Ferentz and told him to throw the flag. We'll take a look at it here on the replays. Trying to find Devin Thomas in the middle of the field. Overshoots him. It gets tipped. And then all of a sudden, here's Greenwood. He's saying, I got my hands under the football and snagged it in. Right here. Better angle. Right here. Tip drill. We kind of lose it just a little bit. But I thought on the first look that he had his hands out, pulled it in, and then rolled.
Well, too late now. Michigan State getting up there quickly, and maybe that hurt them there. They tried to get up there so that time would not be called for the review, and it's a bad punt, and Iowa will take the ball at the 42.
Right around the same area. Right around the same area that the turnover took place.
Remember, Brett Greenwood saved the Illinois game with an interception at the end.
That's right. Intercepted Eddie McGee right down around the goal line to preserve that win. Look at this. It touched the ground.
Yep, that's a good call by the official.
It's a good call, not actually Kirk Ferentz as well, not listening to his player.
Yeah, because you get one challenge in college, you have to call timeout and then ask for the challenge, and you get it back if the play is not overturned. It's only a 25-yard punt. Iowa takes over with all momentum at the 42. The cutback by Young and right into the waiting arms of Greg Jones. Only a 2-yard pickup. Oh, we mentioned Greenwood perhaps saving the day against Illinois a couple of weeks ago here at home. And that win for Iowa, Christensen with a touchdown pass for the Hawkeyes to Brandon Myers. And as you mentioned, Andre, Eddie McGee picked off by former walk-on redshirt freshman Brett Greenwood, and Iowa knocks off the Illini.
All right, a couple of tough plays at the end of ball games for Eddie McGee, the backup quarterback to Juice Williams against Missouri in the opener, threw a touchdown and an interception that allowed Missouri to run off the clock, and then one to Brett Greenwood.
Young breaks a couple of tackles. Look at the feet continuing to move as Albert Young looks like the back from 2 years ago when he ran for over 1,300 yards.
Well, we're getting around the final curve into the last straightaway, and Att is coming out of nowhere.
Iowa quickly to the line on 3rd down and 1. Christensen, great second effort, bouncing off of linemen and getting the first down to the 30-yard line.
Well, they go quick set and try to catch Michigan State out of position, but that was the second effort of Jay Christensen, the sophomore quarterback. You know, I asked Ken O'Keefe to describe him. He said he is a competitor. He loves to compete, and I asked Christensen, what did you learn from Drew Tate? He says, hey, he wants the ball every time with the game on the line, and I just want to compete. That's what he picked up from the senior quarterback, Drew Tate.
Christensen to the air on 1st down. And dangerous throw back across his body, nearly picked off by Eric Gordon of Michigan State, but Iowa survives that down. Now back to the studio. Got to be a little surprised by that after the way Rutgers played against South Florida last Thursday night. Here's Young downed after no gain. On 2nd down and 10. Go ahead and update our horse race here in Iowa City. Albert Young, because of 2 touchdowns in the 3rd quarter, is now leading the race.
Well, we had, you know, Devin Thomas had the lead there for a while, and then Jevon Ringer kind of propelled himself in front, but it's Att out of nowhere. Right now, he's the finisher in this horse race.
Showtime does not want to show, but that's where he is right now with Jevon Ringer placing. A lot of time left, though.
Win, place, or show, huh?
Iowa has dominated, though, the second half. Here's a 3rd down and 10 screen pass over the head of Young. And it's 4th down and 10, and Iowa will send on the field goal team.
Well, keep in mind that Wynn's at his back. Daniel Murray, the freshman kicker, 5 of 7 on the season, made 1 coming in, so now 6 of 8, and as long of 41 yards. He kicked a 42-yarder in this ball game already, so to take the lead here, Dave.
47-yard try for Murray, another redshirt freshman on this very young Iowa football team. He's from right here in Iowa City. And he drills it from 47 yards, and Iowa has the lead here in the 4th quarter. Daniel Murray's longest of the season, and Kirk Ferentz's team, after trailing by 2 scores at halftime, leads for the first time today over Michigan State. Iowa head coach Kirk Ferentz at the end of the first half here, upset about a no call on a punt. The crowd started to get into it, and perhaps this turned the tide for Iowa, because the Hawkeyes since then have scored 17 unanswered points.
Well, there's a couple of signs of a good football coach, and it's the adjustments that you make at halftime. That's been the difference. So whatever he said in the locker room at halftime has made a world of difference, and the adjustments on the field have worked out. Then he played the field position battle, not going for it on 4th down, 81-yard punt, result a 47-yard field goal at the end of that little chess match.
Devin Thomas takes a knee, and Michigan State, now trailing for the first time today, will take over at the 20. Now, Michigan State, in the last several years under John L. Smith, got off to great starts and then struggled down the stretch. Mark D'Antonio's team this year, 4-0 to start, but now finds itself 5-3 and 1-3 in the conference.
So what you're saying is that this horse has run this race before, and he just can't get to the finish line, can't quite get there, right? He's not a finisher. You got to move him down from 6 furlongs to 5 furlongs. Maybe he can hold up.
And it doesn't get any easier. I mean, the horses get a lot bigger and a lot faster next week with Michigan. Then they got Purdue and Penn State to close out the year. And Jevon Ringer can't even get back to the line of scrimmage. Run out of play by true freshman Jacody Coleman, who has really come on the scene today. And our Breeders' Cup alert, race 7 coming up over on ESPN. Don't forget, just a couple of hours, it's the $5 million Cup Classic on ESPN.
I'd like to enter another horse in this race. It's a buggy horse. The Iowa defense. That entire unit here in the second half has made the difference. You can pick a jockey. There's a jockey right there, Norm Parker. Tremendous adjustments at halftime.
Here's Hoyer on 2nd and 12. Leveled back at the 13-yard line. Ryan Madison comes up with the sack for Iowa. And Michigan State backed up inside its 15.
Boy, just relentless in his pursuit to the quarterback. You see the big fella, nice outside move. And now just continuing, trying to swipe the ball from Brian Hoyer. And tremendous pressure by this entire unit for Iowa defensively. That's my horse, my dark horse going down the stretch.
And the ball did come out there, but Michigan State able to recover. 3rd down and 18 after the fumble recovery by the Spartans. Good thing for them that an offensive lineman fell on it. Otherwise, Iowa would have 1st down inside the Spartan 15. Hoyer in trouble again, but able to dump it off to Ringer, and he fumbles the ball, and Madison's got it for Iowa. And then he fumbled it. It's still loose at the 32, and I think Iowa did recover at the 33. They did. Madison got it, then he lost it, but Iowa gets it back.
Well, we talked about the turnover margin for Iowa, +8 coming into this game. Hoyer does an excellent job with the eyes waiting to the last possible moment to dump the ball on the screen to Jevon Ringer, but you got to hold on to it. And all of a sudden, big number 53, Matt Kroll, gets his head right on the football, and it pops out. Now Matheson's right there to receive it, picks it up. Maybe, big fella, you got to get down. He's losing yards, going backwards. I don't know who that is. I guess one of the wideouts, Markdale, trying to get it out of there, make it a live football again, but Iowa sets themselves up in some pretty good field position.
+9 in turnover margin. That's their saving grace this year, as they're ranked dead last in just about every other offensive category.
That will win you some football games, my friend.
Trying to get their 4th win of the season, 2nd in conference play. Albert Young hit hard by Travis Key after a gain of a couple. So 2 fumbles by Michigan State on that last drive, and the second one recovered by Iowa.
Yeah, Ken O'Keefe said that the running backs were the leaders of this football team. That's where the leadership came from for Iowa. Albert Young and Damian Sims. And Young has basically taken this offensive unit on his back, along with a young offensive front. That offensive line providing just a little hold, some creases, and he's finding some daylight right in the middle of that Michigan State defense.
Great second half for Young, who, when healthy, is a great Big Ten back, but last year struggled through a knee injury. Actually had a banged-up knee last week, but he's played through it today and picks up about 4 there to the 27 before Thornhill makes the stop, and we check in with Reese again.
Can Sly Kroom get himself 1 game away from being bowl eligible? How about that at Mississippi State?
That would be huge for him and for that program. Meanwhile, Indiana may have to wait another week to try to get bowl eligible. Here's Young on 3rd down and 5, and going to be short of the 1st down, tackled by Justin Kershaw. Okay, Coach Ware, are you going for it on 4th down?
I'm going for it. It's a long field goal. They've got the wind to their back, but it's so much momentum. The offensive line is in sync. Albert Young is in a rhythm. I might take a chance here and go for it on 4th and 1. You've got tremendous momentum behind you right here, but Kirk Ferentz, he's well respected for a reason, and he's going to try the field goal here.
If you make the field goal, you force Michigan State to beat you with a touchdown, and they haven't been able to move the ball in the second half. If you go for it and you don't get it, Michigan State can tie it with a field goal. A 40-yard attempt after made field goals from 43 and 47, and this time he misses. So the fumble by Michigan State's Ringer does not prove costly, as Iowa cannot come up with points. Sparty ball when we come back. Well, certainly a crosswind impacted that last field goal try by Murray. Check this out from 40 yards. Watch the ball as it gets close to the goalpost.
But took a left turn about 10 yards. Like a bad snap hook. Starts out straight and ends up way left off the golf course.
And now Michigan State down a field goal. Scoreless here in the second half. Really hasn't been able to move the ball. Takes over, and Colcrick straight ahead. And it takes 4 Hawkeyes to wrap him up at the 31, led by Jacody Coleman. That's a 7-yard gain. Iowa dominated in the first half by Michigan State, but the tables have turned here in the second half.
It totally dominated in the second half by Iowa. defensively. They gave up 252 yards in the first half, but only 61 in the second half of this ball game. And you talk about turning it around. They have done it defensively.
Iowa had only 71 yards in the first half. Colcrick on second down, and he gets tagged by Mike Humple right at the first down marker. It appears that Colcrick got enough to move the chains.
Well, that's a tall order, bringing down J.U. Colcrick one-on-one, and it was just Mike Humple and J.U. in the hole together and found a way to get him on the ground. Humple, a tremendous football player, was a Class 2A 215-pound wrestling champion as a junior in high school, 3.5 grade point average. Nice student as well.
Favorable spot for Iowa, as they say Colcrick did not get it across. So on third down, a pass play, and it's broken up, intended for Devin Thomas, covered by Godfrey. An interesting call there on third down and 1. Maybe Michigan State will go for it on fourth down.
A good corner will take it personal that you throw at him on third down. You see right here, nice three-step drop, and Charles Godfrey playing some tremendous football defensively for the Iowa Hawkeyes this season. He's like, not in my house.
And Michigan State going for it on fourth down and 1 from its 34. Do you agree with this move by Mark D'Antonio to go for it?
I don't know. You got a bunch of timeouts in your back pocket. A lot of time. I don't think I go for it here.
And they are going to run the play. Colcrick, as a flag flies, wrestled down right at the first down marker by A.J. Eads. See what the penalty flag is first. It appears he got the first down, but again, a marker in on the play. That's the right guy to give it to on fourth down.
Absolutely. There's nobody else. Everybody in the building knew number 30 was going to carry the mail. But did he deliver? It looks like this one's going to be against Michigan State.
Illegal shift. Off. Only 5 yards. Repeat the down.
And now you're going to punt it for sure. Now you're going to punt and save those timeouts, keep them in your back pocket. 4:42 on the clock, and you have got to rely on Pat Narduzzi's defense to come up with a stop, get you some field position and another shot at it. If you're Iowa, you just want to run the football with Albert Young behind a young offensive line. Control it, keep it, and don't turn it over.
And Colcrick appeared to have the first down, but it's negated because of that penalty. And now Bates booting it away, and that gets caught up into the wind. In that crosswind, really affecting the kicks here in the fourth quarter. And Iowa's going to have excellent field position at the 42. Will they ride Albert Young the rest of the way?
A-Dot.
He's been terrific in the second half. Iowa with the football, trying to get one step closer to perhaps being bowl eligible for the 7th straight year. They have a 3-point lead on Michigan State. Albert Young leading the race right now. A-Dot with 153 yards and 2 second-half touchdowns.
I'm going to pencil in the Iowa defense right in that horse race.
Here's Christensen, only 3 completions today. Got a man open. Incomplete inside the 20. Cleveland could not hang on to it, and he got well past the defensive back.
Boy, Christensen does a good job with his eyes of moving the safety away from the post route to James Cleveland. He gets inside position right there, straightens him back up, and now he's got a lot of room. If you just put a little more air under that football and allow him to run under it, that's a nice catch. He can catch it in stride and sprint to the end zone, but he just over the outstretched fingertips of James Cleveland.
Ross Weaver, who is banged up with a foot injury, missed 5 games, but returned last week, was the corner who got beat. Only 23 passing yards for Christensen, so they give it to Young on second down, ripped down in the backfield by Eric Gordon. And 3rd and long coming up. But first, we check in with Reese.
And don't sleep on Woodson bringing Kentucky back. He'll have them in that baby at the end of it.
So Michigan State has called timeout. You see Pat Narduzzi down on the field. He started the game calling defenses up in the press box, then got upset in the second half as Iowa drove on the Spartans and ran down to the field. And Pat comes from great coaching blood. His father, the late Bill Narduzzi, coached at Youngstown State. That's where the connection was with Mark D'Antonio, who coached there when Tressel was the head man there. So Iowa, if it wins today, would have to win 2 of its next 3 to get bowl eligible, and it's a favorable schedule to close things up.
Well, they're going to have problems with Northwestern. Minnesota, I feel like they could win that football game, and then again on the 17th of November against Western Michigan. So very capable of winning out and going to another bowl game. Their 7th straight bowl game.
3rd down and 12. They run Young. He can't get the corner. Bumped out of play at the 45 after a gain of about 5 yards. Are you surprised by that call to run the ball on 3rd and 12?
A couple of things that surprised me in this possession for Iowa. The throw deep on 1st down to James Cleveland. If you don't complete that, you don't hit it. It stops the clock for Michigan State. Then you run the football for very little or no yards and brings up 3rd down and 6. And then there, Albert Young, a senior running back, getting out of bounds and now allowing Michigan State to save another timeout. If you're going to run it as a senior, you should know. Get yourself down in bounds and force them to use a timeout.
That would have left Michigan State with 1. Instead, the clock is stopped. They have 2 timeouts remaining. Now, Murray's last punt went 81 yards. He's got to be careful not to kick it too deep because of that wind. And Love going to field it inside his 10-yard line and gets up to about the 18. Tackled by Olsa, the long snapper for Iowa. Now, we mentioned Michigan State's road to close out the 2007 regular season much more difficult than Iowa, with Michigan coming to town next week, than at Purdue and Penn State to close it out.
All teams with winning records. The in-state rival Michigan coming to East Lansing next week. Then they go on the road at Purdue. That will be a tall order. And Penn State, a very good, solid football team to finish the year. That's a tough road for Michigan State.
Spartans trying to win here for the first time in 6 tries. Their last victory in Iowa City was 1989. Jevon Ringer trying to run outside, and that has not been there in the second half. Brian Madison strings it out for the Hawkeyes as we check in with Rob Simmelker.
You guys just looked at that Michigan State schedule, and we spoke to Coach D'Antonio this week about how much he's talking to his team about getting that 6th win to become bowl eligible. And he said, we're talking about it an awful lot. They haven't been in a bowl since '03. That's a long time for such a proud program.
But Rob, they might have to wait till next week to try to get bowl eligible, as Thomas cannot hang on to it. A collision in the secondary as Greenwood and Fletcher hit Devin Thomas, and it's incomplete.
Well, there it is again, the old smash route, and they go to the corner with a nice little bubble. A nice little bubble route in the flats, and he's trying to reading it to the flat, trying to draw it, open up a hole there to his wideout Devin Thomas, going to the corner. And once again, very well played on the part of Brett Greenwood.
Probably going to hang on to that, though, if you're Devin Thomas. Got to make a play for your quarterback.
Well, they have read it. They got torched with that route, that smash route against Purdue last week. They have defended it well today.
Hoyer on 3rd down 9, hit as he throws, and Kellen Davis makes a play for his quarterback. A diving catch at the 37-yard line. He's been quiet today, but comes up big on 3rd down and long.
Kellen Davis, there's some pretty good tight ends in the Big Ten, but there aren't any as athletic as a guy like Kellen Davis. Tremendous speed and size, great combination for Michigan State.
They go no huddle here. Hoyer again to Davis on 1st down into Iowa territory at the 44-yard line, and then the ball was ripped out. The ball loose at the 43-yard line, and they're going to say that Davis was down.
Where they vacate the middle of the field, they give a 2-deep look, and Brian Hoyer knows where the weakness. You're going to see Kellen Davis come right into the hole right there. You see him come right from the right side of the screen into the hole in the middle of the 2-deep zone, which is the weakness of that defense.
After a 21-yard pickup, Hoyer to throw again. Almost picked off by Greenwood. His wide receiver, Mark Dell, tripped, and the pass sailed on Hoyer, and Greenwood almost had an interception.
Yeah, Dell goes to the corner again. It's a simple read for the quarterback. You read the area outside guy. At this point, it's the corner. He plays up close on a smash route right here. The receiver up close is Dion Curry. They allows for a big hole behind him, but Mark Dell slips, almost threw it right to the chest of Brett Greenwood. Boy, this is getting exciting.
Struggle in the second half for Hoyer, but he's had some receivers who haven't been able to hang on to the football either. Hoyer tried to hit Curry, and right on cue. A Michigan State drop. That's 4 or 5 drops in the second half. 3rd and 10, and keep in mind that Michigan State is going into the wind here, trailing by 3.
Yeah, so it's going to affect Brett Swenson, who's only 8 of 13 on the year. Actually, 9 of 14. He made 1 in this football game. So right here, a big down for Michigan State, trying to go down and at least, Dave, tie this game up with a field goal. He's converted on 3rd down a few times, once again facing it.
Boyer's pass well behind his intended receiver, Mark Dell, incomplete. It's 4th down and 10.
Yeah, it looked like he forced that one and tried to put a little extra on it.
Here's the question. If you're going to go for it on 4th down, and it appears that Michigan State's going to punt it away, and maybe that's why, because they didn't get more yards there on 3rd down, and they're fearful on 4th and 10 of not being able to pick it up.
All the more reason for Albert Young to stay in bounds, force Michigan State to use the timeout. Now, with an incomplete pass, it stops with 2:49. They're going to punt it. They still have those 2 timeouts in their back pocket.
But if they get it back, they're not going to have a whole lot of time.
No.
Bates kicking into the wind, and you could just see it all the way from up here, getting caught up into the wind, but it eludes the defensive back, T.J. Williams, and it's a touchback. Williams was in position, but it took a crazy hop on him, and Iowa will start at the 20, leading by 3. Well, today after the game, the Busch Series continues at Memphis on ESPN2. 4 races to go. The chase standings up for grabs. Teammates Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon battling down to the wire. Who can come out on top as the chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup roars into Atlanta. It's coming up next on ESPN2 for Memphis. And then Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern in Atlanta on ABC. The NASCAR Nextel Cup Series continues. Got horse racing, auto racing, and great college football on the final Saturday of October. They keep it on the ground with Young, and he picks up about 4 on 1st down to the 24. Greg Jones on the stop, and we'll see if Michigan State uses a timeout here. And the Spartans will. That will leave them with 1.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I expected Ken O'Keefe, the offensive coordinator for Iowa, to do the previous drive, was run the football. They've been running it between the tackles with excellent results. So you keep it on the ground, go to Young, and just ride his shoulders to the end of this football game. But they threw it early in the last drive, was unable to come up with it, stop the clock for Michigan State. Now going to force them to use those timeouts.
And if you're Iowa, are you even thinking pass at this point? Christensen has struggled to throw the ball. You've had success running it, but you may be forced with a 3rd down and 6 or 7. Do you just give it away by running the ball, and you take a shot throwing it?
I think you run the football. They're moving the ball behind a Young offensive line, creating some holes. There's running lanes there for Albert Young, and you stay with it until you have to do otherwise.
They'll run Young on 2nd down and 6. He gets maybe 1, so you're going to be faced with 3rd and 4 or 5 as Michigan State calls its final timeout. I'll ask you again, do you run it here, or do you take a chance throwing the ball?
Well, you have to try to finish the game, so it's 3rd down in a very manageable situation. You can throw it here if you're Iowa. Now, they'll punt the football. They've already forced Michigan State to use up the timeouts. The defense is playing excellent football for you. Sometimes if you don't pick it up on 3rd down here in the passing game, you punt, you play defense, and rely on your defense to stop Michigan State.
Only 3 completed passes today for Iowa, yet winning by 3. And with a preview of college football on ESPN tonight, here's Brent Musburger.
Surprise, surprise, the Buckeyes are #1. But for how long? They headed to Happy Valley to take on the Nittany Lions, who are determined to define their season with a signature win. It's the Rally in the Valley. Ohio State, Penn State, tonight at 8 Eastern on Saturday Night Football.
That's on ABC. Ohio State last losing in the regular season at Penn State 2 years ago. They're going to keep it on the ground on 3rd down. Young on the cutback. It's not there. Michigan State all over it. Greg Jones leads the charge, but the Spartans are out of timeouts, so this will take the clock inside of 2 minutes.
Yeah, they're going to take it way down, maybe even spend a timeout of their own. Get it down as far as you possibly can, take a timeout, then punt the football. I mean, they've got at least 20 seconds on the play clock. I can't imagine they're going to snap it before it gets anywhere inside of 5 seconds.
Donahue, last time he was punting in this area, kicked it 81 yards into the end zone. So he has the wind, although it has been swirling as we saw in that missed field goal try. And this is a bad kick by Donahue. And it takes a couple of Iowa bounces and will turn out okay for the Hawkeyes. Michigan State will start at the 21. The Spartans no timeouts, and they need 3 to tie. 53-yard punt.
Well, that net for Donahue is going to be way up after this football game.
Which horse will it be for the Spartans to try to get them in field goal range? Will it be Ringer? Will it be Colquitt? Will it be Devin Thomas or Kellen Davis?
Or the buggy that's gotten into the race? The defense of the Iowa Hawkeyes, maybe they steal the show here, coming on with a late push.
Brett Swenson, the kicker who you saw warming up, is 1 of 2 today. Made a 46-yarder, missed a 39-yarder, and Michigan State going against the wind here. And the pass behind the intended receiver, Devin Thomas, incomplete on first down.
Well, covered up very well in the middle of that formation. A lot of guys flying around out there. You talk about Mitch King and the job he's done. He hadn't had a sack in this football game, but he's applied tremendous pressure to Brian Hoyer all game long.
Hoyer on 2nd and 10. To Thomas, who hangs on to it this time, inbounds, and then he stepped out after the catch at the 29, so he got 8. 3rd down coming up.
Well, that's the place where you cannot give up a completion. You can give it up in the middle of the field because you're going to tackle, and then the clock's going to continue to run, but you cannot give up the routes along the sideline for completions and allow receivers to step out of bounds and stop the clock.
3rd down and 1. A long one. Got to get past the 31-yard line. No timeouts remaining for the Spartans. Hoyer waiting. Now flushed out, and the pass incomplete, intended for Thomas. Nice play by Brian Gaddis, a senior linebacker, a backup no less, to break it up.
Well, Brian Gaddis played that excellently, you know, in a part of in terms of pass defense on a very good receiver. He was matched up on 2 occasions against Devin Thomas and came up a winner on both 2 downs ago, and then that one playing underneath the senior from Mount Prospect, Illinois. Coming up big for this Iowa Hawkeye defense.
Albert Young, don't know if he's tired or if he just can't watch.
He just rested, waiting to rev it up one more time if need be.
This is it right here. Michigan State's got to get about 1.5 yards, and they're going to throw it on 4th down, and a diving attempt that's ruled a catch by true freshman Mark Dell at the 37-yard line. The clock will stop as they reset the chains.
Well, the coaches describe him as having some really soft hands, and he showed it right there.
And a pass play on 4th down and 1, and now to the sideline it goes, and Davis is there for the catch and then steps out at the 41. So the clock stops with 63 seconds left. No timeouts for the Spartans.
Well, Kellen Davis is going to be some kind of pro. We'll watch that young man play on Sundays. The big tight end, 6'6", almost 250 pounds. He runs well. He has all the tools to be a great one. Hey, earlier in the year they were lining him up on the edge on defense, having him rush the passer. So he's a two-way guy.
Hoyer on 2nd down and 5. Starting to get into a rhythm as he finds Curry right at the 1st down marker at the 47-yard line. Only 5 seconds off the clock on that play.
Well, what I like about the smash route is it's an easy read for the quarterback. You set your eyes, you read the guy outside on the corner, and if he plays back and deep like Bradley Fletcher was doing on that play, you shoot one out to the underneath route about 6 yards. It's a nice easy throw, a nice easy read, and you allow the receiver to step and get out of bounds.
Didn't get the 1st down though. 3rd and 1. You saw Swenson. He does have a 46-yarder in this game, so he's matched his career long. And they're going to run it. Ringer on 3rd down and 1. That'll stop the clock as they reset the chains, and he gets the 1st down with 52 seconds remaining. And the Spartans going to go no huddle again.
Well, they had to have had 2 plays called in the huddle because all of a sudden, you know, now you're wasting a lot of precious time. Roland Martin loses his helmet. He's got to get strapped back up.
Clock running, 46 seconds and counting on Michigan State. Hoyer hit, and the ball's loose. And recovered by Michigan State's Jesse Miller. Adrian Clayborn hit the throwing hand of Hoyer and knocked the ball out, but the Spartans recover.
Another freshman who can play inside or outside along that defensive line. Well, that's a big play by a youngster.
It forces Hoyer to have to spike it with the clock running down, and now it's 3rd down and about 17.
Yeah, watch Clayborn just come right around the edge. Nice job with the hands of disengaging from Pete Clifford, and just picks it right off the throwing point of Brian Hoyer. He raises it up to come forward with it, and Clayborn comes right in, picks it off, forces Michigan State to spike the ball, and no timeouts remaining. Remember that.
Yeah, and if you don't get the first down, you can't spike it because it's 4th down. You're not going to have a lot of time to get the play up if you don't get the first down here on 3rd down and 16. Hoyer going near sideline, and it's caught. Wow! Somehow got through the hands of Godfrey and caught by Thomas. The clock stops as they run down the field with the chains, and then Michigan State will either spike the ball or run a play with 19 seconds left.
Unbelievable.
How did Godfrey not intercept that? And D'Antonio calling for the spike. And they still have not gotten the chain set. And now the spike comes and 18 seconds left.
I watched a similar play as the Houston Texans fought to get themselves back in the football game against the Tennessee Titans. Kerry Collins hit Roydell Williams down the sideline on a play just like this. Nice outside release down the field, and Hoyer going to put the ball right in there. It was tremendous coverage by Charles Godfrey, just like Dante Robinson last Sunday. All of a sudden, the ball finds its way to the receiver and sets up Michigan State for a game-tying field goal.
And here's the question. No timeouts left. 18 seconds. Do you run a play or two that's safe to the sideline, as you see the reaction from Iowa head coach Kirk Ferentz in disbelief, or do you take what you would think would be a sure thing from 33 yards?
Here's what I do. I've got a second down, and with 18 seconds left, I'm going to take a shot to the end zone. I'm going in the end zone, try to win the football game right now. You've got more than enough time to take a shot into the end zone. Be smart with the football is what you're preaching to Brian Hoyer. Don't force it, but if it's there, take it. Get to the end zone, make the grab, let's get out of here and go home.
Just don't get a sack if you're Michigan State.
And don't take a sack. That's what I mean. Be smart and don't force it.
Hoyer, and he's going to take a shot in the end zone. Incomplete. Too high for Devin Thomas, who is double covered. 3rd down and 10. 13 seconds remaining.
I think you got time for another one. 3rd down and 10, 13 seconds. It's a lot of time. You still got a shot at the end zone. Make sure you're throwing it away from the defenders. Your guy's going to catch it, or it's going out of bounds, incomplete.
And again, if you get sacked, you can't spike it because it would be 4th down and the clock might run out on you, as there is an injured defensive back, Bradley Fletcher, for Iowa. You got to be really careful here if you're Michigan State.
Well, that's my target now. If Bradley Fletcher's limping off the field, if he stays on, I'm going to throw at him. 2, if the next guy comes on the field, he's a little, stoved up, a little stiff this late in the ball game, hadn't had a lot of snaps. The next guy that trots out there is my target and where I'm going to go with the football.
It would be about a 33-yard field goal, but Mark D'Antonio is going to run one more play here on 3rd down and 10 as Brett Swenson awaits. He's 1 of 2 today and only 9 of 15 on the season. And Drew Garber, a junior from New Jersey, is the replacement for Fletcher at corner.
That's the guy I think I would target.
Here's Hoyer, and the pass caught, and Thomas out of bounds to stop the clock with 8 seconds to go. And now it's about a 30-yard field goal, so you help yourself by about 4 or 5 yards. And here comes the field goal team to try to tie it.
Well, that, I'm guessing why throw that one.
Right.
You don't need to stop the clock. You throw one to the end zone to stop the clock, or out of the back of the end zone. Give yourself a shot to win the football game and get out of here. But here, this is no gimme with Swenson with the wind right in his face.
Let's see if Ferentz calls a timeout for Iowa. 29-yard try by Swenson. No timeout called. The kick is good, and we are tied at 20 with 4 seconds left in regulation. So Swenson comes up big with a 29-yarder, but it was Devin Thomas with the catch downfield on 3rd down and 16. It set it up to tie the game.
I'm telling you, it feels like deja vu to me when, you know, Barones trotted out there last Sunday and kicked his 8th NFL record field goal against the Houston Texans when Kerry Collins hit Roydell Williams down the sideline. But here, Swenson, nice swing of the leg. It is true all the way. Well, that makes that man happy. Mark Dan right down the middle.
And again, Michigan State, if it wins this game, will be bowl eligible. Iowa has to win 3 out of its last 4 to get bowl eligible. Ferentz electing not to call timeout there to try to ice the kicker.
I was going to ask you, you kind of surprised with that because you can't take those timeouts to overtime with you. You know, it's either use them now and kind of shake the kids' nerves a little bit more.
A lot of coaches, though, even though it is part of gamesmanship, will not do it. They're against it. They don't like that idea of calling it right before the snap, which we've seen done in the NFL and now some college coaches doing it. Maybe that's why Ferentz didn't do it there.
I don't like it, but if you hit me in my mouth, guess what? It hurts, and I might hit you back. So, you know, there's a chance you take. I don't care about how fair it is. It's done. It's part of the rules, and within the game, you certainly use it if it's available to you.
Bolesky to boot it away here. He'll hammer it into the ground. Clock starts on the touch, and Iowa with the football, and we're going to go to overtime. Return to around midfield by Christian Ballard, and we will go to overtime.
And Kellen Davis as well. You know, he came up and was big on that drive for Michigan State. A couple of receptions over the middle, a couple on 3rd down to keep the chains moving for Brian Hoyer and that Michigan State offense.
The tail, 1 toss.
So Iowa has won the toss.
You want to be on deep, get it. You want to be on deep? Right? Okay. Face that direction. The guys stand here and face that way. Iowa, you over here. Iowa's won the toss and will play defense. Michigan State has chosen to play at the south end. 1st down.
That was probably the biggest throw of his career ever down the sideline to Devin Thomas.
Each team gets a timeout. Each team a possession from the 25-yard line. Once you get to the 3rd overtime, you must go for 2 if you get a touchdown. Colcrick on 1st down to the 21, got about 4 yards. Tackled by Matt Kroll.
And teams tend to do what they do best in situations like this, and that's run the football for Michigan State. Though they opened it up, spread it out, hit Kellen Davis on a couple of big passes, and the big one out to Devin Thomas to set up the field goal to send them to overtime. So they are balanced as you can get. 219 rushing coming into the game, 212 through the air coming into today's ball game.
So on 2nd and 6, they'll run it again. Ringer straight ahead, and he keeps his feet moving inside the 10, and finally tackled at the 3-yard line. What a run by Jevon Ringer.
Well, and that's what Norm Parker talked about that he was deathly afraid of, was Jevon Ringer breaking tackles and continuing to run. You watch right at the line of scrimmage, there's a big hole. All of a sudden, Harold Dalton shows up, and there's about 4 other Iowa defenders that have to come into the picture to get Ringer on the ground. That is running with some determination.
Colcrick into the game on 1st down and goal at the 3. Colcrick trying to find a hole. It's not there. It closes at the 2. And the tackle made by Bradley Fletcher, who is back in the game after getting hurt in the 4th quarter.
What I like about Iowa in this short yardage and goal line situation here is that they get tremendous penetration. They're not allowing Colcrick, who's a big back at 255 pounds, to get himself started downhill where he's bringing the blow to you. He's having to stop and chop his feet as he engages into the line of scrimmage, and he can't really use his power. Therefore, the Iowa defensive front got the advantage.
Colcrick again on 2nd down and goal. It's a touchdown for Michigan State.
Didn't get to him then.
Devin Pritchett with the block to the outside that springs Colcrick, and the Spartans on the board in overtime.
That's what we talked about, that penetration. They did not get it there. Got everybody washed inside. Colcrick with the vision, saw the hole on the outside, got that momentum that we talked about, headed downfield, and shoulders and helmet pointed down at the line of scrimmage. He gets himself right in the end zone.
Brett Swenson on for the PAT after Colquitt's third rushing touchdown of the day. So Michigan State leads by 7. Iowa will have to score a touchdown and then tack on the extra point to send it to a second overtime.
Well, you're going to see right here, just right on the outside, Colquitt, and then he's going to bounce it right there. He sees it. Now I'm going to bounce it outside. He's got the momentum. Shoulder pads and helmet pointed downfield and pops it right into the end zone. Devin Pritchett right out front leading him, engaging on the end man on the line of scrimmage, basically walking into the end zone.
Iowa elected to start on defense in overtime.
Well, that's because you know what you know at that point you know what you got to do, right? You know, if it's just a field goal to tie it, you know you kick the field goal and go into the second overtime. If you maybe block an extra point, now it's that and kick the extra point, we win and go home. I agree with that decision totally.
Certainly more pressure though if you give up a touchdown, which they did. Christensen's pass caught by Cleveland inside the 20-yard line, and the ball came out at the 18. But they're going to say that it was fumbled out of bounds, so it will stay Iowa football. Davis Clark was the man who stripped it out of the arms of Cleveland.
Well, Ken O'Keefe expecting some pressure, going to move Jake Christensen away from it with play action and roll him to his strength, the left side. He's a lefty, roll him left, gets it out quick. A nice quick decision is what I like there to James Cleveland. Get the football out.
And the ball clearly was on the out-of-bounds white line on the sideline. That was only the 4th completion today for Christensen. Second down and short. Young has the first down inside the 15 to the 13-yard line.
You know, you made a good point, and you asked me why defer and go in second. Here's the reason. Maybe you feel like your football team's getting tired, and you got one more drive in you, and we punch it in. So what? Michigan State scores, they kick the extra point. We drive down, we punch it in the end zone. Now it's my decision as the coach if I want to go for 2 in this baby and go home and take that chance, or kick it and go into a second overtime. So you got a lot of options when you have the ball second.
Now we'll see if Kirk Ferentz has an opportunity to make that decision here. First down, fresh set of downs at the 13-yard line of Michigan State here in the first overtime. Christensen throwing a fade and not on the same page with Johnson Koulianos that time.
Koulianos gets outside pressure. It's man-to-man. He gets bumped at the line of scrimmage, and the route was called for a hitch. He's, the easy conversion is just to fade it. Jake Christensen read it out and put the ball in the corner of the end zone for him to run under, but he ran the hitch.
They've thrown on first down on both plays here on this possession. They completed the first time, incompletion here, and now let's see if they go back to the ground like they did in the second time last time.
A lot of bodies inside, 7, 8 guys in that box at times.
And they will run it, and it's going to be a reverse to Paul Chaney. Breaks a tackle, but penalty flags down, and then a nice tackle by Davis Clark on Chaney, but this is going to be an Iowa penalty.
Yeah, this one's coming back. Kyle Callaway with a block in the back. And all of a sudden, they're going to find themselves in a very long yardage situation here.
Yeah, Callaway blocked Irvin Baldwin in the back that time.
Oh, watch him
during the run, illegal block in the back, number 60 on the offense. 10 yards previous spot, the down is repeated.
You see him right there, just kind of peel back around from his left tackle spot and get Irvin Baldwin right in the back. I don't know how a guy thinks the official won't see that. He knew it right away.
And how about with the short field, the creativity in the play calling for Kirk Ferentz? They go with a fade, which they really didn't do at all in regulation, and then a reverse on second down. Second down and 20 after the penalty at the Michigan State 23. Out of the shotgun, Christensen. Again, only 4 completions all day. Looking for number 5, and he's got it. Chaney inside the 5. Chaney to the goal line, and it's an Iowa touchdown.
Now it's decision time. Is your football team tired, or you feel like playing on a little bit more? I think you kick the field goal. Iowa, tremendous momentum right now. They're going to get the football back in this second overtime to have an opportunity first. Kick the field goal, send this baby into the second overtime.
A touchdown pass for Jake Christensen, his 12th of the season. And Paul Chaney, a redshirt freshman from St. Louis, with his first touchdown of the season and of his career. A 23-yard pass play on 2nd and 20. And the all-important extra point by Murray to send it to a second overtime. And we're even at 27 after one extra session. Paul Chaney was on the Iowa track team last year, showing that he's a football player here, breaking tackles. To the second OT we go. Back in Iowa City, if Michigan State wins, it is bowl eligible. If Iowa wins, they still have to win 2 out of their last 3 to get win number 6. Kirk Ferentz's offense will be on the field to start the second overtime after Paul Chaney's touchdown catch on 2nd down and 20. That's got to give Jake Christensen some confidence at the quarterback position.
Absolutely. And when you deliver like that in the clutch for your football team, your confidence level, it just soars. And that young man right now, you can see it in his body language as he approaches the line of scrimmage. A lot of confidence right now on the part of Jake Christensen.
So first down from the 25-yard line. And they run another end around to Johnson Koulianos. This time no penalty flag, and Johnson Koulianos has the first down to the 13-yard line. Another bit of trickery out of this Iowa offense here in overtime.
Well, they get you moving, and that's what you do to an aggressive defense. You get them flowing one direction, and then all of a sudden a nice little end around. Show it here, give it off, and that's the mesh point. Make sure you get him the football. Nice little fake. Now you got blocks set up out on the edge here, and it's just speed to get there. Get as much as you can, but hold on to the football.
First down at the 12. Young, big hole, and then it closes. Travis Key with a touchdown-saving tackle at the 7-yard line.
You aren't kidding. His teammates voted him captain, Travis Key, and right there, that's why in a critical situation, you got to have guys that can make sure tackles for you, especially in the secondary. Otherwise, Albert Young is sprinting into the end zone if Travis Key doesn't make that stop.
Now you have options after a 5-yard pickup on the ground on first down. 173 for Young, looking for more, cut it back, and Young tackled at the 1-yard line, but he got the first down. There's an injured Michigan State player. Albert Young banged up as well. Eric Gordon for Michigan State.
And Orrin Wilson was the guy that made the tackle on Albert Young, a true freshman. He can back up at both defensive tackle positions, but watch the strength of the true freshman, number 70. He's going to come right back into your screen, and this is usually he's got the momentum. Albert Young, he throws him backwards from about the 1-yard line and saves a touchdown. Boy, that is some strength for a guy right out of high school. 6'3", 290-pound Orrin Wilson.
And Young coming into this day with a banged up knee. Got hurt on that last play, and so we'll likely see his backup Damian Sims. And they're still looking at Eric Gordon on the Michigan State side of things.
Yes, Sims was pressed into action a couple of years ago due to injuries, 3 years ago, allowing him, they didn't have the luxury of redshirting him. He's a cousin of former Iowa receiver C.J. Jones. So he's from a football family. The guy's done a pretty good job when called upon this season, and in this ball game had a nice run down the left sideline.
They're actually going to bring Pugh into the game, the true freshman from Naples, Florida, who got some time in the fourth quarter. First down and goal from the 1.
A little bit bigger body, and Jevon Pugh.
And Pugh is going to walk in. Touchdown, Iowa! And that's the first career TD for Jevon Pugh.
Jevon Pugh, a little bit more size than Damian Sims around the goal line, so they go with the bigger body. And the freshman from Naples, Florida, trots into the end zone and makes this football game a little bit more interesting.
So Murray on for the extra point, and then Michigan State will get a possession from the 25-yard line. So the Spartans will have to come up with 7 to force a third overtime. It's on Brian Hoyer's shoulders now for the Spartans. Let's check in down on the field while we have a moment with Rob Simmelcare.
All right, Dave. Well, this Iowa defense trying to hold on for the win. Their starting middle linebacker, Mike Clinkenborg, who came into this game with a concussion, now has his right arm heavily taped up and has been out for most of the second half, at least since the fourth quarter. So he is not likely to get back in there, a key to that Iowa defense.
And Jacody Coleman, true freshman who is Clinkenborg's backup, has played wonderfully in the second half.
Made some nice plays in this football game. Freshman Jacody Coleman out of Beaumont, Texas.
Colcrick on first down. And Colcrick gets to the 23 for a couple of yards, brought down by Mike Humple. That's 16 tackles unofficially, and 98 on the season for Humple. At 18 against Illinois in their big win at home a couple of weeks ago.
Well, you think Colcrick, when you watch him run the football, though, you see him stop at the line of scrimmage and you think the play's over, but you don't hear an official's whistle. Then all of a sudden you look up and about 3 yards, he's still turning, going down the field. Boy, he's powerful.
Ringer's in the game as Hoyer's in the shotgun on second down and 8. Swing pass to Ringer with blockers in front, and Ringer gobbled up at the 17-yard line. Gaddis hit him first, and he's going to be a couple of yards shy of the first down. Third down coming up.
Well, I like the decision-making of Brian Hoyer, not holding on to the ball, giving that pass rush any time to get to him, swing it out, get it in a playmaker's hand like Jevon Ringer, and let him go to work. Excellent job of playing the quarterback position today for Brian Hoyer.
Third down and 3. Michigan State needs a touchdown to force a third overtime. Touchdown and an extra point. Hoyer to the air, and it's caught by Thomas for the first down. Nice play call as they move the chains. First down and 10 coming up at the 13 of Iowa.
No, that's always to a receiver's advantage, especially if you've got a big body receiver like Devin Thomas at 6'2", 218 pounds, strong on the outside. He gets his momentum started up the field. All he needs is 3 yards. He can just catch the football, start up the field. He will fall forward for the first down, which is exactly where Michigan State starts now.
Here in double overtime, Michigan State with the ball, down 7, first down from the 13-yard line. Hoyer play fake, looking around, and then throws it out of the back of the end zone. Heads up move there with Kellen Davis, triple covered, about 8 yards deep in the end zone.
You know, that looked like the play of about a fifth-year senior. Hoyer only a first-year starter, a junior, experience right here as the season grows older for him. Doesn't try to force it, tried to go to his tight end in the back of the end zone. Kellen Davis wasn't there, shoot it out of the back of the end zone and come right back on second down.
41 attempts today by Hoyer. He's thrown for over 300 yards so far. And this is the 95th play today for Michigan State. Of course, a lot of those being run here in overtime. On second and 10, Ringer trying to squeak through a hole inside the 10 to the 9. That'll bring up a third down at about 6. They can get a first down without having to get into the end zone.
Boy, you talk about that old collar getting tight right now for Iowa. You know, you're trying to hold, and both teams, you're getting to third down and still needing 6 yards just to get a first down to continue. If you're Iowa, you don't want to even allow the first down. You'd rather get them into a fourth down situation where they've got to put 7 points on the board. Man, it's tightening up. Middle of the field is wide open.
Play clock at 3. Michigan State does have a timeout. They get the play off. Hoyer going to get sacked back at the 17-yard line. Adrian Clayborn makes the play. And now it's fourth down for Michigan State.
Where Clayborn going to show it from the outside. They show the blitz. They're creeping everybody up outside. Now you got man-to-man here. Nobody in the middle of the field. Cover 0. Everybody locked up in the secondary. And Clayborn, Adrian Clayborn, able to get there before Brian Hoyer can get the ball out.
You only had 3 seconds on the play clock. Maybe that's one where you just take the timeout, talk about it, and don't take a risk there. Or take the penalty at that point. One or the other, but I don't know if I'd snap that there when you're that confused.
No, and a lot of disarray, a lot of bodies moving around and things happening. And as a young quarterback, we just mentioned, he's not an experienced guy. First year as a starting quarterback, so he hadn't been to this point in his career to where he knows exactly the decisions that he has to make in order to save his football team at times. That timeout, you can't take it back to East Lansing with you. Go ahead and spin that baby.
So 4th down and 13. They've got to get to the 3-yard line, or this game is over, and Iowa will win it.
This is it.
A chance at bowl eligibility on the line for Michigan State.
Keep in mind, they can still pick up a first down here.
Right, got to get to the 3. 4th down and 13. Boyer with time. His pass is going to be caught well short of the marker. That's about 7 yards shy of the first down marker, and Iowa's going to win it in double overtime.
Well, he was counting on Devin Thomas to break a tackle, and it didn't happen.
And the fans storm the field here at Kinnick Stadium for their second big win at home in the last 3 weeks.
I think this is just a result of Kirk Ferentz coaching his football team back into this football game. He made some adjustments at halftime, and I think that's where you are defined as a good football coach, with the adjustments that you make at halftime. They forced Brian Hoyer. They weren't going to give anything up deep. Forced him to come short to Devin Thomas, and maybe he breaks a tackle, maybe he doesn't. They come up, they rally to the football, but they're not going to give anything up deep. You see the deep drops here? Not going to allow anybody behind that secondary unit, and they come up, make some tackles as a team. That man right there deserves a lot of credit for what he did in the locker room at halftime.
Final score in double overtime. Iowa beats Michigan State 34-27. For Andre and Rob, I'm Dave Pash. Now let's send you to Marty Reed in Memphis.